League's best quarterbacks. Eric Zeier of Georgia continues his assault on the Bulldog record book. In '92, he threw for a school record 2,248 yards, and he has a career 57% completion rate. Then there's the style and cockiness of South Carolina's Steve Taneyhill, last year's National Freshman of the Year. After South Carolina lost its first 5 games, he led the Gamecocks to 5 wins in the last 6. The season was saved, and he made sure everyone knew about it. Between the Hedges, Georgia hosting South Carolina.
Jefferson Pilot Sports presents the best in regional college football. The Southeastern Conference. The Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week is brought to you by Lee Apparel. With regular, relaxed, and loose-fit jeans, Lee is the brand that fits. By the Lincoln Mercury dealers in the Southeast, who invite you to take a good look at Mercury Sable. By Lowe's Home Improvement Center, helping to add value to your home. And by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company, the vision to power your dreams.
We welcome you to the Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week. 85,000 plus on hand in Athens today as the Bulldogs play host to the Gamecocks. I'm Bob Carpenter with Tim Foley. Welcome back to another season of SEC football, a league that produced a national champion last year. And Tim, this is your 10th year. Have you ever seen the league any better?
We see great football every week. You know, premier football directed by great strategists every week, and you can't beat this. This is going to be a fantastic season.
Well, when you think of strategy, you think about the military sometimes, and Eric Zeier is the son of a former military major. Great leader on the field for Ray Goff. But we went to the other head coach, Sparky Woods, to talk about Zeier.
Well, I certainly think he gives them the capability to do whatever they want to do in terms of throwing it. I think that he's a weapon, and they will use him to throw the football. I think the thing impressive about Georgia, though, is the balance of their football team. They're going to run that football with authority. They're going to send a good back up in there behind a real strong, big offensive line, and then Eric's going to do a great job of play action off of that and throwing the football.
Now, Tim, with Garrison Hurst gone, do they have the running attack for that play action?
But it's been a long time since I've seen Georgia without a runner. I think you'll be impressed with Terrell Davis.
All right, and we've also been impressed with the production of Steve Taneyhill since he took over 6 games into the '92 season. So we went to the other head coach again, Ray Goff, to talk about this QB.
I think if there's something that has been impressive about him, is not necessarily his throwing ability, his leadership ability is probably the biggest area in how he's taken that football team and raised their play to a higher level.
All right, to the higher level. Is there the substance to go with the style?
You know, this kid has a brashness that verges on being obnoxious, but the team responds to that, and he certainly produced last year.
Well, how has the nation responded to the SEC championship game for the first time last year? Divisional play, and Alabama winning it all. Respect is the key word. 5 teams of the 12 in the SEC rated in the nation's top 25. Alabama comes in the top 5, and Georgia number 13. More from Athens coming up. We touched on the Georgia running attack. Garrison Hurst, 6.8 yards per carry last year, is in the NFL. But the guy they have to replace him, Terrell Davis, a junior from San Diego, actually had a better per carry average last year than did Hurst. Bob Kessling, what's the feeling downstairs with that in mind?
Well, we talked with Ray Goff just moments ago before the game and asked him about the running attack. He said that's a big concern of his. Not necessarily Davis. He's pretty much a proven commodity, but everybody else behind them don't have much experience. So Goff said he might play 5 or 6 running backs today and see if he gets any consistency and productivity. On the other side of the coin, South Carolina very much concerned about their offensive line and protecting Steve Taneyhill. They've been banged up. They've used all kinds of different combinations. They need to protect Taneyhill and give him a chance to perform. So the running game from Georgia, the offensive line from South Carolina, the 2 big concerns down here.
And Bob, that South Carolina front line lost the likes of Ernest Dye at tackle, Kenny Farrell at center, and Antoine Rivens at right guard, so they have 3 key guys to replace. Sort of overcast here today. We had rain in the early morning, but somebody turned on the sauna about a half hour ago. It's only in the mid-70s. Wind not much of a factor, but the humidity, well, it can't get much higher than 98%. Cannon Parkman, a sophomore out of Stone Mountain, will be the kickoff man. Georgia won the toss, but the Bulldogs decided to defer, and they will take the ball in the second half to start. The senior cornerback, Frank Adams, who averaged 25 yards a return, second in the SEC, 13th in the nation last year, back for the Gamecocks. Bulldogs in their home reds, and here we go. It's to the near side for Adams. He takes it between the 2 and the 3, angling to the middle, trying to get outside, no way. And South Carolina will start from around their own 18-yard line as Charles Pledger made the tackle after the 16-yard return. Steve Tannehill, the sophomore out of Altoona, PA. Sports Illustrated's Freshman of the Year last year. Football News called him a freshman All-American. There are his numbers, most of which were compiled in the last 6 ball games after he became the starter. A multiple offense with 8 starters back for Sparky Woods against the multiple defense of Georgia. They line up in the eye. And some play action. Tannehill straight ahead out over the 31-yard line. And the man who caught the ball was Toby Cates. And let's have a look at the Mazda starting lineups. South Carolina with Tannehill, Rob DeBoer, and Brandon Bennett, coupled of great returning running backs. Chris Alford, a youngster at split end. Terrell Harris and Matthew Campbell, the senior tight end. Up front, Dixon, Dexter, and Dinkins. Harrison's a redshirt freshman, and Corey Lucci, a veteran on the right side. He's a senior, the only senior up front for the Gamecocks. That was a first down, and Tannehill gives it quickly to Brandon Bennett. Bennett, a 6-foot junior out of Taylor, South Carolina. Carlo Butler up from left outside linebacker to make the stop. The inside men in this 3-4 defense, Ledbetter out of Norman, Oklahoma, a starter with Rosenberg and Philip Daniels. Matt Storm will see plenty up there as well. It's Davis and Butler on the outside, Godfrey and Clemens. Randall Godfrey, one of the best freshmen in the nation last year. And their secondary, they replaced 3 out of 4 starters. After that 1-yard gain, it's Cates motioning past the quarterback, coming left side, and the give is to the deep man, and they've got good yardage out to about the 40-yard line as Brandon Bennett, who carried the ball for 4.3 yards per carry last year, gets a good one. There's his average. He scored 6 times and amassed almost 650 yards.
And against Florida, against Tennessee, Bennett performed as well as any back in the SEC, with the exception of Garrison Hurst. He is powerful, got good character. Not really the quickness of a Hurst, but he can run through people.
Gamecocks 31% on 3rd downs a year ago. It's a long 3. They need to get the ball to their own 43-yard line. Mike Reddick, the motion man. Tannehill looking to the right side. With time, and this one is picked off back at the 25-yard line by Buster Owens. Terrell Harris, the intended receiver, but Tannehill outthrew his man, and it was a rather easy pickoff for Buster Owens, his 2nd career interception.
Actually, what he's looking for here, Bob, he's got Mike Reddick, the young man out of Miami, Florida, just on a little short option. It's not there. Georgia has it covered. And he lifts this ball up, just kind of half throwing it away. Buster Owens comes up with the interception. Georgia has the ball first down.
At their own 23-yard line. Bulldogs an I formation team. But they split the backs on first down. Eric Zier. And he gives off to the second man, Frank Harvey, the senior fullback. They replace Max Strong at that position. The Georgia starting front, actually the skill people, Zier with Davis and Harvey in the backfield. Hassan Graham with great speed. Brian Bohannon, experience at flanker, and Shannon Mitchell is the senior tight end. Up front, they replaced some good people like Jack Swan at center, Alec Millen at the right tackle, with the likes of Williams, Roberts, Brownholtz, Chosewood, and Paul Taylor. With the ball, Terrell Davis trying to get outside, and the Carolina defense has come up big twice. Ernest Dixon from the left outside linebacker. Turnipseed, Sullivan, and Pettiford, they're pretty experienced up front. The linebacking core led by Dixon on the left side, Chris Rump on the right side, with Eric Brown and a former walk-on Hank Campbell in the middle, and they've got a good secondary. Adams is a senior. Tony Watkins, a senior, getting the start ahead of Jerry Inman. Inman will see plenty of playing time today at free safety and strong safety. 3rd and long now. 3rd down, 8 for Zaire and the Bulldogs. Hunter, the motion man. Zaire looking left side with time. He's got it to Harvey, but well short, as coming up was Tony Watkins from strong safety to make the stop.
Yeah, they've got a new rule now that people have to be careful of, kind of a showboating rule, and after Ernest Dixon made that tackle on Terrell Davis, the official warned him. He came to the Georgia sideline and waved his hands a few times, but I'm assuming that that's going to get called at least once today, simply because of the habits young men have developed at this point.
Senior Scott Armstrong lets it go from his own 18. A wobbly spiral with Frank Adams catches, and the Gamecocks will have good field position, even though he's dumped after a short return. And they will have it at their own 39-yard line. Whit Marshall on the stop. No score early. Less than 5 minutes in Athens. Your local Mazda dealers. Each team's out of possession. South Carolina had a first down. Georgia could not. And Ernest Dixon takes a phone call. You can do that, but you can't fax anybody on the sidelines this year.
You know, people think you're kidding, but I mean, that's a new rule. No fax down to the sideline.
Now, I wonder if they allow cellular telephones.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
2 tight ends set for the Gamecocks as they open up with a single back. 4 minutes and 7 seconds into the season. No score in Athens. Tannehill out to the left side, and he spun the ball for Chris Alford. The sophomore from McBee, South Carolina, couldn't reach it. Now, the hash marks have been moved in. Roughly now, the distance between the hash marks is 1/4 of the field. It used to be 1/3 of the field. There you can see they're a little bit narrower, a little bit closer to those goalposts. That'll open up some things on the outside. Forget the fax machines. The blood rule we'll talk about. No loss of down on offensive pass interference. And the fumble-rooski, much to the dismay of Tom Osborne and Bobby Bowden, is no longer a part of college football. We've got a timeout down on the field called by Georgia after that first play, so we'll take a quick pause. No score. We're back after this from your local station. Georgia appeared to have only 10 defenders on the field. That's why they had to use that first timeout less than 5 minutes into the game. 2nd down and 10 for Steve Tannehill and the South Carolina Gamecocks. A single back set again. Ball is tipped. And then diving to try to pick it off was Chad Wilson out there at the left corner. The tip was made by Mitch Davis. Davis, the right outside linebacker, who goes 6'3", 240, senior out of that great Viger High School program in Mobile, Alabama.
Now, it's just a repeat of the previous play going the other way. Davis gets up in the air. Lucci has him occupied, but gets up in the air and makes a nice play. He's a great athlete, all-SEC performer last year, and possible All-American this year.
Tannehill, 1 for 4, 14 yards with a pass picked off so far. Terrell Harris in motion to the near side. Look out! Tannehill down from behind. Buster Owens from strong safety. Earlier, he had the interception. Now he has a sack.
Richard Bell, the defensive coordinator at Georgia, isn't strong on the blitz, but he feels this year he has some people that can cover. He has a couple of folks that can really get there, and he comes with the safety blitz this time to put some heat on the young quarterback from South Carolina, and it works.
Owens out of LaGrange, an all-state wide receiver and DB there. Marty Simpson will let it go for South Carolina. End-over-end kick taken inside the 25 by Chris McCraney. McCraney breaks through. He will go almost to midfield. He's a redshirt freshman from Moultrie, Georgia, who's a backup cornerback, and you'll see him a lot on special teams. 42 yards on the kick and 24 back on the return. Good field position now for the Dogs out at their own 48-yard line.
Just a great job. Nothing fancy, but a good job by Chris here. Picking his way, maintains his balance, and scoots upfield. Teammates working to get a hat on somebody.
Harvey and Davis in the eye behind Eric Zeier. Let's see if the field position helps the Bulldogs this time. There's the pitch to Davis. He got a big block on the left corner, and he's got a first down, but that big block was done illegally. A penalty flag is down. At least it appears it was some sort of illegal block, as one of the Gamecocks went flying through the air. They're applauding. It appears to be against Georgia.
That was Hank Campbell that launched himself, but I'm not sure that that's where the penalty was. It seemed like the flag was in motion before that. Jamal Pettiford's over on that side.
Offense, 10-yard penalty, spotted a fall. Repeat, first down.
So they'll move the ball back 5 yards and repeat first down.
Let's watch it here. See number 96 by South Carolina being held there. Good block on Campbell. Good running by Terrell Davis.
At the scat back position, that's what they call it. He's out of San Diego, played at Long Beach State for George Allen. Then when that program was disbanded, Georgia, in a fierce recruiting battle with some West Coast schools, got Terrell to come all the way across the country to Athens. Ryan Bohannon in motion near side. Zeier going off balance, and another flag, and we're seeing some opening day problems early offensively for the home team. It might have been Ernest Dixon coming across the line, as each team now is having a little trouble getting their rhythm.
Offside, defense left end, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It was definitely Ernest Dixon. As you see, Miles Aldridge there. He's the defensive coordinator for South Carolina. Last year he was the co-coordinator with Tommy West, and Tommy now is the head coach at UT Chattanooga. So Miles says this year it's all his fault. They know who to blame now.
Another 1st and 15. Zeier with play action. Held it for a long time. He's got it in the right flat for Shannon Mitchell. And he's down to the Carolina 30 and beyond. Mitchell, the senior out of Tennessee country in Alcoa, right outside of Knoxville. His stats from last year, and he's got a big gain of 27 here.
Zeier, just a very clever, very poised young man. Watch this. Boy, he sells that fake a long time and just hits Mitchell on a little delay out here to the outside. Now watch, Brian Bohannon's going to come into your picture. And he chopped down Ron Neely, and that gave Mitchell the extra space.
First down for the Bulldogs. They're at the 28 of South Carolina. Zeier changes the play at the line of scrimmage. That play is a deep give, and Davis is inside the 10. Finally ridden down by the free safety Norman Green. A Garrison Hurst type run by Terrell Davis, who exploded up the middle with some great blocking.
The Chosewood, Brown Hold, Steve Roberts, that front three of Georgia, get some movement there on Eric Sullivan. And Terrell Davis explodes up the middle. Good job by Norman Green, measuring him and bringing him down.
They gained 47 yards in the last two plays, 20 on that. 1st and goal at the 8. Davis in motion left side. Harvey pulling his way inside the 5, down to maybe the 4-yard line. Eric Sullivan on the stop, as long with inside linebacker Hank Campbell. And Uga 5 is very happy to see the offense approaching his end of the field.
Is he shaking off the last play, or what's going on?
Uga looks gassed in this 98% humidity.
There's odds on whether Uga's going to make it.
They might have to change his name to Ugg if this weather keeps up. 2nd down and goal at the 4. Harvey and Davis behind Zeier. Offensive line's done a great job on the last 3 plays. There's Davis, straight ahead, angling left side, and the Gamecocks did a nice job of clogging that one up. Again, we see Eric Sullivan from the nose guard position. He's only a sophomore. He goes 6'3", 280. He was a former state defensive player of the year under head coach Bobby Ivy at Lawrence, South Carolina.
They brought him in last year. He's a linebacker, wanted to play linebacker. They put him at defensive end. That's where they needed help, and he started to eat, and he started to lift weights, and he got bigger, and now he's down playing nose guard for them. They think he's going to be a real good one.
Georgia good on third downs a year ago, 40%. This is 3rd and goal from the 4, and Zaire will throw it right corner, and the ball is up too tall. But we do have a flag. Bryce Hunter, the 6-foot sophomore, the intended receiver, and it goes against Carolina.
Well, Hunter was running a kind of an inside-out move on Neely, and he had gotten inside.
Defense, lined up outside.
Well, that's a mental mistake when you line up offsides on 3rd and 4, as called by Rom Gilbert, the referee for today's crew.
Rump almost gets there on Zaire, but the call was not pass interference. Good. I'm always glad when pass interference isn't called.
Oh, but we're going to start that again, are we?
This is the 10-year thing.
It didn't take long for you to get on that thing.
Right, yeah. And so they're offsides. That was the call.
Almost 8 minutes into the season, 3rd and goal now from the 2. Outside Davis, but he slips. Out there on the corner, one of the reasons he fell down was he looked up and saw Ernest Dixon fighting with his blocker, and he tried to cut it up inside. So Dixon doesn't get credit for the stop, but his presence made that slip happen. And the field goal team is on Scott Armstrong, who was 12 for 17. That's Cannon Parkman, 12 of 17 a year ago. And the Bulldogs 23 of 27 when they score the first time. This will be a 19-yarder left hash. And the hash marks certainly help the kickers this year, but there is a penalty flag on the field. That's another effect of the closer in hashes this year. Kickers will be helped. It'll be procedure against Georgia. From this range, it shouldn't make much difference. In fact, some kickers on the old hash marks, they didn't mind seeing that ball push back 5 yards at all. It certainly made their angle a little easier.
Exactly. You got to give South Carolina's defense a lot of credit. You know, they gave up a couple of big plays. That was their problem last year against Georgia. They gave up over half the yardage they gave up on 7 or 8 plays.
Now, those are Parkman's stats from 2 years ago. He redshirted last year because he had mononucleosis. From the same hometown as Kevin Butler. Now it's blocked by the Gamecocks. Frank Adams, the cornerback. So the Bulldogs come away empty. 6 minutes and 24 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the Carolina defense gives, but they don't give any points deep in their own territory. The man for the left side, Adams, with the block, and the game is still scoreless. Senior cornerback Frank Adams, he's been outstanding on special teams in the past. Watch him come in from the bottom of your screen.
Great effort by Frank Adams, who's one of the best cover men in the Southeastern Conference.
Tannehill and the Gamecocks from their own 20. 3rd possession. And a mistake on the exchange, and Steve can only kneel on it way back around the 11-yard line.
And those are sophomore mistakes, and you know that's what scared Sparky a little bit, I'm sure. And right now, what you don't want to do is try to make something big happen. You know, that's kind of, you get that kind of a loss on first down, and now's not the time to try to make up ground when you're backed up. So, you know, be conservative. Don't give Georgia any opportunities. They're tough enough when they have to earn their own opportunities.
Harrison Cates in. Tannehill will call a timeout. These are the situations Sparky Woods was afraid of in this game. He has a great deal of respect for Richard Bell's defense of Georgia, and he does not like to see Carolina in negative yard situations. They have a 2nd and 18 coming up. For the latest scores of just the games you want, you can call the Jefferson Pilot score line at 1-900-267-5757. Calls are $1 a minute, and kids, please talk to your parents before you make the call in. get their permission. We will track scores from around the nation for you. In the ACC, the Cavaliers are rather unusual. 8-6 lead over the Terrapins. First quarter action at College Park. Big Ten team over the Southwest Conference early. Ohio State, top 20 to start the season. Over the Owls of Rice. That's from Thursday when Auburn at home. Terry Bowden's first win, knocking off Billy Brewer's Rebels of Ole Miss. Alabama's in Birmingham to play Tulane. We'll bring you up to date a little later on the rest of the SEC teams in action on this first Saturday of college football. Here's the 2nd and 18 coming up for South Carolina. The give is to number 33, and Brandon Bennett has nowhere to go. It might have been not Bennett, but Stanley Pritchett, who came in at the fullback to replace Rob DeBoer. Pritchett, a sophomore who goes 6'3", 235 from the Atlanta area, the suburb of College Park.
Randall Godfrey made a beautiful move there. Dropped a couple steps and then hit it. He really came on for Georgia, and Ray Goff feels like this could be the best linebacker that ever played at the University of Georgia. Good upfield. Pritchett, no time to make a move.
0 for 2 are the Gamecocks on 3rd down, and they've got 3rd and 19 here. Tannehill swings it left side for Mike Reddick. He breaks loose out over the 20-yard line, but they'll be a good 8 or 9 yards short of the first down yardage. Good pursuit by Charles Pledger from left corner. There's Reddick, who had a big game at home against Tennessee when we televised the Gamecocks upset of the Volunteers late in the season. Another kicking situation for Marty Simpson of South Carolina. He's a junior out of Columbia. Had a long kick of 79 yards against Vanderbilt last year. Chris McCraney is the man back for the Bulldogs. Nice spiral. It's hanging up for a while at the 42. McCraney with the fair catch. 36 yards all through the air. And again, for the second consecutive possession, the Bulldogs will have good field position. 4:16 to go in the first quarter, a scoreless season opener. Sanford Stadium here in Athens. We'll head up a little bit north next week for our Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week. We're headed for Nashville, where the Commodores await the defending national champions, Paul Palmer. Will he be turned loose by Gene Stallings this year? Probably. Ball is on the ground on first down, and South Carolina says, we've got it. It looks like the right end, Stacey Evans, came up. He forced it, and the ball was picked up by Mike Washington.
South Carolina has as strong a defense as they've had in a long time. This is a team that believes in itself. They feel like they're a team of destiny because of what happened last year. Georgia's struggling a little bit in the offensive line. Evans gets it around the outside, slaps it loose. Good job there, good job up front, but Evans jerks it loose, and it's South Carolina's football.
Sire got the arm back, but never had it moving forward. Tannehill wants it all on first down. Touchdown! Corey Bridges! There's a flag in the end zone, maybe for celebrating, but it is a Tannehill to Bridges touchdown, and the Gamecocks are on the board. That's that showboating penalty, the celebration, if you will. But Tannehill goes up top on first down, and a quick strike for 6. If you score, get off the field before you celebrate this year.
As a defensive back, one of the things that you're always thinking is, after a turnover, watch the big hammer. And this is one man down the field. Corey Bridges running with Pledger. Pledger's in good shape, but the ball was beautifully thrown. Pledger went down trying to dive for it. Touchdown, South Carolina.
Reed Morton, who handles the short kicks for South Carolina on the extra point. Irwin Jeffcoat, the holder. Derek Gregory, the snapper. Everything works perfectly. It's right down the middle. And it's 7-0 South Carolina with 4:02 to go in the first quarter. Tannehill threw for 7 touchdowns last year with 6 picked off. Today he had one picked off earlier, but not this one.
Fletcher in great shape. He gets caught up in Bridges' feet, goes down, and Corey, good concentration on the football. Hangs in there, and the ball was beautifully thrown. Great protection, perfectly executed. Tannehill lets it go. He knows he's got a chance. He knows his receiver is on the inside. It's good. He's being conservative. Oh, be careful now. Be careful now. That's close.
Yeah, but all the officials are down at the other end.
That's right. Get off the field first. Great throw.
Sparky Woods not happy with that celebration call by the officiating crew. In fact, he's more than unhappy. Bobby Gaston, the director of officials for the SEC, meeting with us last night, hoping, as well as the officials do, that the coaches will be the ones to mention it to the players and pound it into them that if you want to celebrate, get off the field first and then get to the sidelines. They will kick it off from their own 20. How about that catch for the guy who's listed 4th on the depth chart at wide receiver? Corey Bridges, a freshman. Yeah, he's a Georgia kid out of Madras, GA. He says, Coach, I'm a freshman. It was my first touchdown. What am I supposed to do?
They should have exceptions to this rule, right?
Travis Harrison on the kick for South Carolina. Ball is taken back at the 15 by Greg Trimble. He angles outside. He's on his way to midfield. And again, for the 3rd consecutive possession after a 35-yard return, the Bulldogs will have good position on the field. Last time, a first down fumble by Eric Zier stopped him. Tannehill got it into the end zone via Bridges, and now it's Georgia down by 7, under 4 minutes to go first quarter. Bulldogs in the eye. The give to Davis, trying to get outside, and Ernest Dixon got the big paw out there to wrap it around him. For the first time ever at South Carolina, a player is a captain for 2 consecutive seasons. He could win the Butkus Award later on this year. Best linebacker in the country wins that. He's a co-captain along with senior running back Rob DeBoer, but nobody has ever had that honor at Carolina 2 years in a row.
But he just ditched the tight end there and got in on that tackle. I mean, the guy is just really quick on his feet.
2nd and 6. Zier with some play action. Has to go for his 2nd choice, and that is Terrell Davis, who went up the middle of an angle to the outside, and guess who was with him? Ernest Dixon with his 3rd tackle of the day.
Bryce Hunter running a little deeper route on the sideline, but I think he was initially wanted Mitchell going back against the grain, but you see, Ernest Dixon threw Shannon Mitchell on the ground. Then after taking care of him, he went over and made the tackle on Terrell Davis. Just a fine play.
6'2", 250 senior. It'll be 3rd and 4 for the Bulldogs. Here they come on the blitz. Georgia picks it up, man open. That is Shannon Mitchell, but there's a flag back near the line of scrimmage. Could have been motion. Mitchell, the man who caught the ball, but did he move illegally before the snap? Illegal motion, and they'll bring it back. Little blitz action there. Let's hurry it downstairs. Here's Bob Kessling.
You know, we got a new little gadget on the sideline. This is a sling slidrometer. You spin it around, it measures temperature and moisture in the air. The biggest concern on the sidelines right now, although it's kind of overcast and it's not that hot, temperature about 82. On the surface with the humidity, it's about 95 degrees down here. So they're really watching the players, make sure they're not overheating. And that's what they're trying to do. Keep basically what they're saying is the sweat doesn't evaporate. And so they've got to keep lots of fluid in it. But this is a sling slidrometer, and I've got the Bob Carpenter autograph bottle I'm going to bring up to you guys after the game.
Hey, what I want to know is, where's your rain slicker that you brought out this morning? 3rd down and 9. Bulldogs move back 5 yards. Zier almost slipping. Swings it out. Harvey was looking upfield before he had control. He might have heard some footsteps, but he was definitely looking the other way when the ball hit his hands. Zaire and the Georgia offense leaving the field, and Ray Goff's team a little sluggish in the first 13 minutes of this one.
Right, and Ray's got to be a little bit concerned. Somebody needs to make a play. They had an opportunity early. And we hear about Hurst being gone and Hastings being gone, but the guy that you don't hear much about is Max Strong, who played football for Georgia. Whoop.
Little clothesline by Mike Washington there. Good-looking kick by Scott Armstrong. Frank Adams doesn't want any part of it, and it's into the end zone. The Gamecocks will have it first down at their own 20. A 49-yard boomer for the senior out of Jackson, Mississippi, Scott Armstrong.
Back to what we were saying about Max Strong. He made it with the Seattle Seahawks, played fullback for Georgia, provided a blocking punch, and also was a good receiver coming out of the backfield. And I think that offensively, they're still searching to replace the talent that he displayed for the last couple of years.
1:57 to go. First quarter, South Carolina leading on the 41-yard touchdown pass by Tannehill to Corey Bridges. That happened just over 2 minutes ago. That was not much of a Georgia possession. A deep man, Brandon Bennett, skated by one guy, and then Charlie Clemens came up to make the tackle. Clemens at that Mike linebacker position, the middle linebacker, a senior out of Griffin, 2'6", 226. Former junior college All-American at Northeastern Oklahoma. A lot of Bulldogs have gone from any OSU and then come on to play at Division I. 2nd and 3 at the 27. Bennett straight ahead. And a bunch of dogs met him right near first down yardage. Where the officials are spotting it, he appears to have the first down. Bennett, just a junior now. He's been around for such a long time. You'd think he'd be a senior. He had 44 yards on 11 carries against the Bulldogs in the ball game last year at Columbia.
Let's watch this again. Just a nice job by James Dexter. Get some movement. Pritchard driving into the hole, trying to create some space for Bennett, and then that swarming Bulldog defense.
First down at the 31. Toby Cates, the motion man, and a flag.
Ball before the snap, leading the 25-second count. Offense. Still
Now, that's a mental mistake. Gamecocks got the first down. They simply took too much time. It'll be 1st and 15.
Getting information into the huddle is always a concern when you've got a young man trying to make some decisions on a line of scrimmage, and I think they've given him some line of scrimmage assignments.
7 penalties between the two clubs, and we're not quite done with the first quarter yet. Tannehill gave it to the deep man Bennett, and a nice trip up back in the backfield by Mitch Davis. Davis, the right outside backer who was all SEC a year ago. He's another that might be considered later for that Butkus Award.
Now, they seem to have been directing their running attack away from Davis, and obviously this is why. As you said, Bob, all SEC player, came back this year, according to Ray Goff, in the best shape he's ever been in, 235, and just, ready to go, ready to work.
That's it for the first quarter. Teams will change ends. It's a simmering afternoon in Athens, and so far, the road team has the lead. Leading on the road, 7-0 here at Georgia. Last year, it was the Bulldogs winning over in Columbia by a 28-6 count on September the 5th, so we're almost a year to the day.
Well, I think this is a much different South Carolina team that's coming into Athens here. More confident, more experienced, more poised.
Rob DeBoer, the single back. He's got the handoff from Tannehill, feeling his way through the middle, and he's got 3 or 4 yards before Philip Daniels wrapped him up, and Charlie Clemens. I'll look at our Lee Apparel first quarter stats. Shows that the total yards aren't that much different, but it's been all Georgia on the ground and mostly Carolina through the air. 41 of those 66 coming on the touchdown play from Tannehill to Corey Bridges.
South Carolina really hasn't had very good field position as opposed to Georgia, who's been in good shape all day in terms of field position anyway.
Tannehill rolling left. And he's got it. It looks like Mike Reddick out there, a reserve running back who's an outstanding receiver. Mike caught 16 balls for over 200 yards last year. He's out of Miami.
Went to Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. Good job here. They got to move the pocket around a little bit to buy some time for Tannehill. Reddick goes way up into the air and makes the catch. When he's in the football game, he's a wide receiver. He's not a running back.
Will Muschamp, the backup strong safety on the stop, but a nice grab going up in the air by Mike Reddick. 1st and 10 now, out at the 45-yard line as South Carolina's moving that football. 2 tight ends with Campbell in there. And that was a rather unusual motion. Terrell Harris came across. He was the only wide receiver. They had Matthew Campbell and Boomer Foster in there at the tight ends, and that play fell apart.
I think what they're trying to do is balance up Georgia's defense, going with a 2 tight end look. The other thing that'll happen is it gives them one more person to help in protection if they decide to play action pass. That was the formation that they threw the long one out of.
There's Corey Bridges coming to the bottom of your screen. He's the touchdown scorer. And remember, those hash marks are in closer to the middle this year. There's more room to operate when you've got that speed on the outside. Tannehill, a little pass ahead. Brandon Bennett, and he tumbles ahead out to around the 49-yard line. Carlo Butler from left outside backer stopped it. Brandon Bennett, a good receiver last year. He ran for 646 yards and caught for almost 200.
Actually led South Carolina in receptions last year. Just a very quiet star developing, Brandon Bennett. Carlo Butler gets a hand on him, brings him to the ground.
They got 4 yards on that first down play. It'll be 2nd and 6, just short of midfield as we're just over 2 minutes into the second quarter. Pump fake down the sideline. Intercepted. Greg Trimble. Trimble at the corner did not bite on the Tannehill pump fake. And that's the key, Tim Foley, for the defensive back.
You bet, and that ain't no jump out there. That guy, he's an all-SEC free safety last year, played cornerback for a couple of years. Nice job. He just laid back. He read the set, but did not commit.
Another one of those junior college guys from Northeast Oklahoma. It's his 4th career interception. He had 3 as a junior last year. Eric Zier and company. And he will shift into the shotgun with 1st down at the 21. A shovel, underhand pass, straight ahead. Terrell Davis out over the 26, maybe the 27-yard line. Ray Goff and the offensive coordinator, Wayne McDuffie, throwing a little wrinkle in there on 1st down.
See it again. Zier, a little underhand shot. Good job. Terrell Davis slashing it up inside. The previous interception by Tannehill really didn't hurt. It was more like a punt, but they had some momentum going this time.
Now their best 1st down play of the day. 7 yards gained, and Zier shifts to the shotgun again. This time a little give. 1st down, 35-yard line. Terrell Davis is down the near sideline. It took the free safety, Norman Green, to knock him out and prevent a touchdown.
Wayne McDuffie and Mac McWhorter have done an excellent job with this Georgia offensive line. Some great blocking in there. Now Terrell Davis takes it to the outside, uses the block of Bryce Hunter, and he's off down the sideline. Norman Green tracks him down. Did some excellent blocking here and good running by Terrell Davis.
Hey, when you're on target, keep shooting. Zier in the shotgun again. This time it's Harvey, and that one stopped up pretty well. Aubrey Brooks who spells Hank Campbell at the right inside linebacker position, number 43, a sophomore. Came up to stack up that play. Eric Brown from inside backer helping out as well. There's 43 Brooks out of Sumter, South Carolina. Only had 9 tackles last year as a backup, but he made an outstanding play there. 2nd and 8. And a man angling in to receive that one, Bryce Hunter. This will lead them with a 3rd and short as Hunter, a sophomore out of Valdosta, who caught only 3 balls last year, all of them against Ole Miss.
That's the Andre Hastings play, and they're counting on this guy to be the person that grows into Hastings' shoes. Bohannon is a fine receiver, very consistent, good hands. Bryce Hunter has a breakaway ability, big play potential that Georgia needs on the outside from someone.
I like that long word, breakaway ability. 3rd down and 3. Little draw play. 1st down. Inside the 25 and the 20. It's Terrell Davis again. Great job by the Georgia offensive line. There's not a great deal of deception there, but they stood up the South Carolina front in very good fashion.
Once again, just a little draw from the shotgun. Georgia doing a nice job walling off the defenders from South Carolina. Finally, Eric Brown gets there to put the hit on him.
Terrell Davis said, "Chris Rump, see you later," and then he went for the 1st down. 1st down and just inside the 20. Dyer across the middle, underthrown. Was it grabbed cleanly? Evidently it was by Shannon Mitchell. Good grab by the senior tight end.
Shannon Mitchell was listed in the Birmingham News as the most underrated player in the SEC. Right behind him was Brandon Bennett. Mitchell's been a player here ever since he was a true freshman. Got batted around that first year a little bit, but's really grown up to be a very, very respectable tight end.
His 52nd career catch. The pitch, Davis angling left side. Gamecocks, great job of getting out there. Ernest Dixon was the first one that made the play fall apart. Then he got pursuit help from Jamal Pettiford, right end, and others. And it'll be a 3rd and 5 coming up for the Bulldogs. Tim Foley, they need to score this time down the field. They cannot expect the kind of field position they've had all day long.
What's 73? Bernard Williams. I don't know if you could see that or not. But I'm sure Jamal felt that Bernard Williams was going a little bit overboard with those 2 handfuls of jerseys.
We'll call it a 3rd and 4. Zier hits Hunter, angling across, inside the 10, touchdown! Second time they used that play on this drive, and this time Bryce Hunter gets it into the end zone. It's Zier's 20th career touchdown pass.
Great call by Wayne McDuffie, the offensive coordinator here. He gets him in what looked like a man-to-man lockup. There was no one in the middle. And once Bryce Hunter had broken up field, there was no one there to put him away.
14-yard touchdown pass. The point after by Cannon Parkman. And with 9:14 before halftime, the Bulldogs have tied it up.
Angle, and what happens is they're doubling the slot. South Carolina's doubling the slot, but the outside man makes the catch there. The 2 people covering the slot get caught up inside. Frank Adams is locked out on the outside, and touchdown, Georgia. Great execution, good call.
Cannon Parkman to kick it for the Georgia Bulldogs. Frank Adams and Brandon Bennett, the return man for Carolina. A low knuckling line drive, and it's taken by Frank Adams. He's looking for room left side, nothing there, but he will get it out to the 29-yard line. Tackle on special teams. Will Muschamp, one of the safeties out there, seeing action. And now the Gamecocks go back to work after a 3.5-minute drive by the Bulldogs that covered almost 80 yards, capped by the 14-yard pass. 8 plays, and 2 of those plays were the inside little passes to Bryce Hunter from Eric Zier. And the word shotgun should be written all over that drive as well. At the 25, Bennett hurdles a man. Gets about 5 or 6. Let's see, there's nothing in his bio that talks about running the hurdles in high school or anything at Riverside in Taylor, South Carolina. But he hurdled in beautiful, smooth fashion there.
And that was Mario Nolan that he was hurdling over. He was playing the part of the hurdle out of Memphis, Tennessee.
2nd and 5 now as the Gamecocks operate out of the eye. Tannehill picks up the loose ball. May lose a yard or 2. 3rd down play coming up. Let's get it down to the field. Bob Kessling.
You know, Carolina fans now cannot be complete without a Steve Tannehill hat. Looks like a basic Carolina cap, except it's got a ponytail on it. He's a sweeping South Carolina. We got one coming up to Tim Foley at halftime. How about that?
Hey, you're supposed to put that on for us.
3rd down. 6 yards to go for Carolina.
A guy from Altoona, PA has the Palmetto State all excited. 3rd down and 6. Tannehill flushed out of there. And that one was a little too tall. Intended receiver was Marcus Robinson out on the left flat, and the Bulldogs had good coverage.
Tremble man-to-man. Georgia. Richard Bell going man-to-man, 2 deep. So real tight coverage underneath. And Tremble displaying the same agility and quickness and awareness that he displayed at free safety last year.
Had the interception earlier. Chris McCraney, the return man. And the kicker is Marty Simpson. Good protection, plenty of time, and a spiral. Comes down at the 33. McCraney juking his way out to about the 40. They'll stop his progress there after about a 7 or 8 yard return. James Flowers, a sophomore, with the tackle on special teams. 36 on the kick, 7 yards officially on the return. Clemson beaten by South Carolina in the season finale last year. They're a top 25 team. Virginia, a little tighter now. They led 8-6. Now it's 15-14 at Maryland. And it's Ohio State with a touchdown, lengthening their lead over the Owls to 10-0 in Columbus. And we've got a 1st down play. They run the reverse. And for Georgia, it's Hassan Graham. Graham, the split end out there in the old Andre Hastings territory.
Wayne McDuffie can't spend that much time at Florida State without running at least one reverse every week. Good job, but they ran it into Ernest Dixon and Frank Adams, probably the most 2 aware people on that South Carolina defense.
It went Sire to Fouch to Graham, and it gained only 3 yards. Sire with a fake to the deep man and a roll to the right. He's got somebody open. That's Shannon Mitchell, the tight end, way beyond 1st down yardage. Down around the 36-yard line. Well, earlier we heard Sparky Woods talk about his concern of that Georgia play-action game.
Sire just does such a fantastic job of selling that. And, of course, the quarterback coach here at Georgia is Steve Ensminger, and he is a real talent himself in developing Sire to this point. Very patient, very poised. Gave Shannon Mitchell a chance to just break out into the clear.
1st down at the 36. Backs are split this time. And the handoff is to number 13, Bill Montgomery. His 1st carry. And he's to the 30 after about 6 hard-fought yards. Montgomery, a junior out of Bowden, Georgia. He ran the ball only 16 times 27 times all of last year. Actually, those are his receiving stats. He ran the ball 16 times for 93 yards, an average of 5.8. A career 27 carries for 145 yards. 2nd down and 4 now at the 30. It's Montgomery again. He says, if they'll spin me around, I will backpedal my way to the first down.
You got Paul Taylor, number 52 in that offensive line. Chad Chosewood, 72. Brown Holtz. Ray Goff very concerned about this offensive line coming into the season. They had Roberts and Williams on the split end side. That was a proven pair, but they weren't really sure about the other three. And
yeah, they lost Alec Millen from the right side and Jack Swan from center.
Right.
A sophomore, Paul Taylor, starting at tackle. Zier with time, but he couldn't find anybody open, and David Turnipseed got him. 6'4" junior out of Spartanburg. His second consecutive year as a starter out there at left end.
Good job of coverage by the South Carolina secondary. Turnipseed, well, he's after him.
That was some spin move he pulled there.
Yes, it was, and this is his second year starting. Really the only defensive lineman with any experience to speak of. A good job of covering by the secondary. Zier had nowhere to go with that football.
Go shotgun on 2nd and 16. Left side, angling in from out there. Jeff Thomas, his first reception. Junior out of Valdosta, who caught 5 balls last year. Both of these teams have a lot of young players they're working in.
As the talent continues to improve in high school, as kids continue to mature faster and develop faster, that talent just spills over into college football. So you see mature athletes coming out of high school that have been well trained and well coached, prepared well.
3rd down and 7. Zier will change the play. They split the backs. Straight drop and a wobbly pass. Jeff Thomas was open, but you'd have to call that an unforced error by the quarterback. There was some pressure from David Turnipseed, but it looked like Zier had time to wing it out for Thomas. He's now a very good still, 9 for 11 for 93 yards and the touchdown.
They've got a few automatic plays, as does every team, that they'll hand signal the play. Their blitz check off, and that's what that looked like from Zier. Just a fist out to one side, and people began to move.
40-yarder for Parkman. He was 3 of 6 from that range 2 years ago, but the Gamecocks have blocked another one. David Turnipseed in on the play, 91, as well as number 93, Stacy Evans. Gamecock special teams coming up big. Turnipseed, the block. 7-7 game with 3.5 minutes to go before halftime here in Athens, Georgia. Turnipseed, a blocked field goal a moment ago. Frank Adams did it earlier. And the Gamecocks are back in action offensively. At their own 28. 4-man front for the Bulldogs. Brandon Bennett got away from one man. And he fights his way out to the 35-yard line. He got away from Mitch Davis, who appeared to have him trapped in the backfield. Tim, we're going to go back to that blocked field goal, the second of the day for the Gamecocks.
And this breaks out right up the middle. They come in over. Bernard Williams seemed to lose his footing, and it was just that was a Caterpillar tractor coming in there. That one never had a chance to get off the ground.
There's Frank Adams, who blocked one at 6:24 of the first quarter. Special teams making a difference on opening day. And again, it's Brandon Bennett angling to the near side. South Carolina's been great on first down today. They averaged about 9 yards per play. On that first down a moment ago, they got 6 and a yard or so there as Brandon Bennett averages 4 per carry today. Mitch Davis, who Bennett stepped around on first down, made the tackle on second down.
Ralph Thompson coming limping off the field for Georgia, being replaced by Corey Johnson.
3rd down and 2 at the 36. They'll stack the line with a couple of tight ends, Campbell and Foster. In the eye, Bennett ran into his own man, and he is short. Dexter and Pritchett right in there for Georgia. Greg Trimble coming to the sidelines after a big 3rd down play by the defense, but it appeared Brandon Bennett simply ran into his fullback, and now the Gamecocks are 0 for 5 on 3rd down. And they'll kick it away with Marty Simpson coming in.
Good penetration by the defensive front of Georgia. prevented Pritchett and Dexter, who had pulled around there, to get out of Bennett's way. There was nowhere to go on that one.
Chris McCraney, the redshirt freshman cornerback, is the return man. Clock running down below 1:40 to go. First half, he just got it away. It hangs up high. It'll hit and go sideways. And did the ball touch a Georgia player? Officials are calling it dead back at the 33. It is a South Carolina football. The ball hung up short. It seemed to fall straight down and hit Charles Pledger, and the Gamecocks were all over it.
Well, on a replay, you'll see McCraney yelling. That's one of the things that's always difficult on a short punt. Charles Pledger's concentrating on keeping that defender from getting downfield, and as he was blocking the defender, the ball came down and hit him.
Great field position for the Gamecocks at the Bulldog 33.5-yard line. It appeared that Ernest Dixon, 40, was the man who came up with the ball.
Last time in this situation, they tried to get it all right off the bat.
Hill looking again, this time out to the right. Nobody there. His receiver, Chris Alford, got hung up with the cornerback out there.
Good
Charles
job by
Pledger.
Pledger. Yeah, right, Bob. Great job by Pledger. Right with Chris Alford. No place to go there.
There's the previous play on the punt where it hit Pledger, and then Ernest Dixon pounced all over it. He wanted 6. Officials said, no, it's coming back.
He was trucking.
Well, you know, he did score a touchdown last year when Mike Washington intercepted and pitched one to him.
Right.
He wanted to taste pay dirt again. Second down and 10. Big room on the right side for Brandon Bennett. He's got the first down. And he's down to the 22 of Georgia. Time becoming a factor now with 1:10 to go. Each team has used one timeout.
Good job of blocking there by John Harrison, a redshirt freshman. And then out in front, James Dexter. This line performing well. Mark McHale, Carol McCrary have to be proud of the way their guys are playing out there.
2 timeouts left for the Gamecocks. Under 1 minute to go. Bennett outside, goes up the middle. Ooh, and he bowls his way inside the 10. Buster Owens tackled him, if you can call it that. That looked like Bennett trucking lines coming right up the middle of those hash marks.
This is enthused. Now, DeBoer leads the way here, but a great hole created, and then Buster Owens in the wrong place at the wrong time.
First and goal from the 8. 41 seconds to go. Oh, bad movement on the left side of the line. It looked like James Dexter, the left guard, jumped off sides. Right next to the left tackle, Luther Dixon, and Sparky Woods, along with his offensive coordinator, Art Wilkins. Hate to see that. Those are his experienced guys on the left side of center.
False start. Left guard move. Still first down.
Well, that's the third time on first down that has happened. And that's just inexperience. A lot of crowd noise here. People are excited.
First and goal from the 13. That's the closed end of the stadium. A lot of noise down there. And Brandon Bennett, this time a bit of a different tackle by Buster Owens. This time it was a legitimate tackle.
Well, you know, Buster thinks the last one was legitimate, really, Bob. You know, he did a fine job. He did what he had to do. Good blitz. He brought him down.
South Carolina using a timeout. 19 seconds to score from the 15. 19 seconds to go. South Carolina does have another timeout remaining. 7-7 to score. Tannehill with time. A flag is on the field, and it's incomplete, intended for Toby Cates. There's a flag at the 12-yard line. Offsides against Georgia. Bad penalty to take in that situation.
Offside. Defense. Lined up in a neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That hurts.
Good job of coverage there by the cornerbacks for Ray Goff's Bulldogs. Pledger and Tremble both did an excellent job on the outside. The guy that snuck free on the last play was little Mike Reddick coming across the middle.
Rob DeBoer, the only back, a 2 tight end set with Campbell and Foster. Tannehill up top, too far. Cates with good coverage by Charles Pledger.
And Pledger will get a lot of attention early in the year. You know, if you have a choice between throwing it at an all-SEC player or at a first-year starter, usually they're going to do this. And I think this young man's he can perform up to expectations. I've watched him for 2 years in a backup role, and he's got great feet, moves well to the ball. Sparky talking to Art Wilkins upstairs.
3rd and goal. Ball between the 9 and the 10. 10 seconds to go. They still have a timeout if they need it to get the field goal team on the field. Tannehill wants 6. Looking right side. Out of time. Sack at the 15. And even back further than that. 2 seconds to go. And as it turns out, they need that last timeout. Mitch Davis, from right outside linebacker, who had 8.5 sacks last year, 14.5 in his career coming in, the man who got the quarterback.
Well, they tried to run the fade, and right before the snap, Tremble came off, and so the fade wasn't there, no place to go with the ball. Davis brings him down. After Davis made the tackle, he got up and started to strut a little bit. Ray Goff was heading out on the field because celebration after a play like that is now a penalty. So these guys got to be disciplined.
Reed Morton is a freshman kicker out of Columbia, South Carolina. He has never kicked a field goal. He's the man considered the short one for Carolina's field goal teams. Marty Simpson will handle the long ones, but Morton considered their extra point and short man. And this one will be about a 33-yard attempt from the near hash. This for the halftime lead. Now, has Georgia called a timeout to ice the young freshman kicker? They have.
South Carolina's come up with a couple of big plays in these situations. Their field goal block team has been responsible for 6 points not being on the board for Georgia. So now Georgia has an opportunity to do the same thing, and that's the point that Ray Goff and Frank Orgler are trying to make to their defense.
If you're a young kicker playing your first game in college, you're glad you're on the field in this situation 2 seconds before halftime rather than 2 seconds left in the ball game.
Right.
He gets a little practice on the emotional side here.
Sparky there, Southern Conference Coach of the Year 3 years in a row while at Appalachian State. He knows they got another problem in blocking this in terms of field goal protection with Bernard Williams, who's 6'9", holds the record here at Georgia for most blocked field goals and extra points in a season. He'll be coming up the middle.
33-yard attempt. It looks good. It is perfect. Reed Morton with his first collegiate field goal. And the Gamecocks on the road after losing at home to Georgia 28-6 almost a year ago to the day, come on the road in Athens and lead it 10-7 at the half. Earlier, a Corey Bridges 41-yard touchdown catch, and now the 33-yard field goal by Reed Morton.
Watch Williams. Boom. That ball was about at elbow level on Bernard Williams. He was a few degrees off to the right. Let's take it down to Bob Kessling.
Sparky, your team played well in the first half. The freshman came big just a minute ago.
Well, we sure needed that. It was a great kick by Reed. We make too many mistakes on offense. Our defense is playing hard. Georgia's doing a great job. Zaire is a great player, and he's putting them in position to win. We're going to have to play a lot better offensively. Our execution, we're getting in those negative yardage plays, the procedure penalties, and then we've had a sack or two, and we mishandled the quarterback exchange. So offensively, we can make some first downs. Our defense will hang in there and keep playing like they have. We may have a chance to win this ball game.
How was your offensive line performance so far?
Well, they're hanging in there. They're making those penalties and all, but boy, Georgia runs really fast on defense, but I think overall they're doing pretty good if we can just quit hurting ourselves with penalties and all.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Bob.
Sparky Woods of the South Carolina Gamecocks. His team is going to the locker room leading 10-7. It is starting to rain here in Athens, Georgia. We'll continue with our halftime activities in just a moment.
The Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week is brought to you by Lee Apparel. With regular, relaxed, and loose-fit jeans, Lee is the brand that fits. By the Lincoln Mercury dealers in the Southeast, who invite you to take a good look at Mercury Sable. And by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company, the vision to power your dreams.
Georgia, where it has just opened up. It rained hard this morning, and right before the game, it stopped about 12:15, but it is pouring right now here in Athens, Georgia, as both the South Carolina and Georgia bands here performing at halftime. South Carolina played very well, hung in there. They blocked a couple of kicks in the first half, and that's the reason they are leading over the Georgia Bulldogs here by a score of 10-7. Each week on our Jefferson Pilot SEC Game of the Week, we'll take a look at the play of the week, but of course this is the first game of the year. Let's go back and look at the Hershey's big play from last year.
Now it's time for the Hershey's SEC Plays of the Week. Our best play of the week, bar none, is brought to you by Hershey's Bar None Candy Bar, the one with more. Florida's Shane Matthews drops back late in the inaugural SEC championship game when Alabama's Antonio Langan picks him off and races for a touchdown to give Alabama the SEC crown. The nuttiest play of the week is brought to you by Hershey's Mr. Good Bar, a nuttier bar for nuttier times. Alabama's George Teague and Tommy Johnson forced Florida's punter Shane Edge to scramble. Willie Gaston nearly takes his head off and still has time to celebrate.
Welcome back to Athens again. It is pouring down rain here. Most of the fans are heading for the cover. We're going to man our post, though. We're going to stay right here in the midst of it. Again, we also tell you that each week we're going to check on the player of the week in the Southeastern Conference, the Ford player of the week. And, of course, again, no game last week. So, again, we're going to take a look at the player of the year from the past season in the Southeastern Conference, a player here in Athens, Georgia, the fans were very, very familiar with.
Let's take a look at our Ford SEC Player of the Year. In 1992, no player in the SEC dominated like Georgia's scatback, Garrison Hearst. Hearst finished the 1992 season by leading the nation in touchdowns scored with 21, and in scoring, averaging 11.5 points per game. He was second nationally in rushing, averaging 140 yards per game. And in the process, Hearst established new Georgia and SEC records for points scored in a single season, 126, and rushing touchdowns with 19, at an amazing average of 6.8 yards per carry. Garrison Hearst was a consensus All-American and received the 1992 Doak Walker Award. He finished third in the Heisman balloting and was drafted third pick overall in this year's NFL draft by the Phoenix Cardinals. Hearst finished his career with 3,232 yards rushing along with 35 touchdowns. The 1992 Ford SEC Player of the Year, Garrison Hearst of the University of Georgia.
A great player for the University of Georgia, and of course they're trying to fill the gap there for Garrison Hearst, who was a record-setting tailback for the Georgia Bulldogs. But Georgia hanging in there so far, and our Jefferson Pilot SEC Game of the Week, as South Carolina and Georgia are playing a tight defensive struggle. Some big plays have really helped keep South Carolina in the lead. They're leading 10-7 at halftime, and we'll continue from rainy Athens, Georgia, when we come back in just a moment.
In finance.
Drilling the world's oldest lake in Russia is providing answers to crucial questions about global warming.
USC's OPPO program in Cortona, Italy, is challenging students from all over the world to develop both their voices and their minds.
USC, opening windows to the world.
Halftime in Athens, Georgia. The South Carolina Gamecocks leading the Georgia Bulldogs 10-7. BC Headache Powder would like to send you and a friend to the 1994 F&G Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. The trip includes game tickets, accommodations, and airfare from within the SEC area. Just send a postcard with your name, address, and telephone number to the address shown on the screen. Drawing will be held on November the 24th, and the winner will be announced during our telecast on November the 27th. You must be 21 years of age or older to enter the BC Headache Powder contest to send somebody to the Sugar Bowl. They said there was about a 60% chance of rain here in Athens today. Well, we've got it going full bore right now, and it is really coming down now. As the roar from the crowd, a lot of them's got ponchos. Most of them are just getting drenched, but they're enjoying it. It's been a terrific football game so far in the first half. Each week also at halftime, we're going to check on some of the key players around the Southeastern Conference. Now it's time to check our SEC Spotlight presented by Lincoln Mercury, dealers of the Southeast.
The focal point of any football team begins with its quarterback, and the SEC this year is well stocked with quality QBs. The focal point in Athens, Georgia is Bulldog junior quarterback Eric Zeier. In Columbia, the center of attention is the unpredictable yet unflappable sophomore Steve Taneyhill. Both Zeier and Taneyhill stepped in and started mid-season their freshman year. Zeier led the Bulldogs to a 9-3 record with big wins over Clemson, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. Taneyhill pumped life into an 0-5 Gamecock team last year, led them on a 5-1 run to close the season with upset wins against Tennessee and Clemson. Both have flourished under the spotlight's glare. Eric Zeier has learned to deal with the attention from both fans and media.
It takes a little bit of adjusting to get used to because, you know, that freshman year, anything that you do positive is a big plus. And, you know, if you do something wrong, that's okay because you're supposed to make mistakes. That next year, you're supposed to do everything right, not supposed to make mistakes. So it was a little bit different.
Steve Taneyhill, already the most recognizable figure in the state of South Carolina, really doesn't care about the notoriety.
Sometimes, you know, it makes you feel good, but other times there's other players on our team who make this team go as well as me. We have a lot of great players, and sometimes I just wish more people would get more attention than just me. Once the season starts and everyone sees how good our defense is and how good our running backs are, and our whole team, there's so many great players that the attention won't be so much on me.
Eric Zeier has been terrific for Georgia. He's smashed plenty of records. The junior has already thrown for over 4,000 yards in his career. He has poise and a business-like approach. He's earned the respect of his teammates and other coaches.
He's a great player. He just really runs the club. He finds whatever weakness she has, and he attacks it in a hurry. He does the best job making other players look good.
Taneyhill is gifted, freelancing, and freewheeling, but he's got leadership qualities.
I don't think I've seen one quite like him in some of the things that he says and does. And, of course, you know, what's the old saying, if you can back it up, it ain't bragging. And, you know, he's done a good job, and, you know, he's quite a competitor, and he's quite a football player.
And both those quarterbacks will play a key in the outcome of this game today between Georgia and South Carolina. Now it's time for the Jefferson Pilot Scoreboard, brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company, the vision to power your dreams. A couple of scores we can tell you about today. Clemson is leading UNLV 3-0. That's in the second quarter. Clemson ranked number 22 in the country. Virginia leading Maryland in the second, 15-14. Ohio State is leading Rice 10-0. That game is in the second quarter at Ohio Stadium. And Savannah State leads Georgia, or is tied with Georgia Southern, scoreless in that game as they play in the first quarter. We can tell you it has stopped raining. Everybody got cooled off a little bit, and things will be heating up now for the second half, which will be coming up in just a moment or so. We'll continue with halftime activities from Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, after this word from your local SEC station. Yes. Now it's time for the Jefferson Pilot Nationwide Scholar Athlete of the Week. We'll recognize somebody who excels on the field and in the classroom each week here on our telecast. This week it's Eric Zeier, business management major. He's a junior with a GPA of 3.33. Academic honors, he's been on the director's honor roll. All-SEC academic in 1992, Northeast Georgia chapter, National Football Foundation, and Hall of Fame Scholar Athlete in 1993. Also, he's been involved in several on-campus activities like their outreach program, and also he's spoken to many, many civic clubs and youth groups in the area. Congratulations to Eric Zeier, our Nationwide Scholar Athlete of the Week. South Carolina leads at halftime, 10-7 here in Athens, Georgia. Let's go back upstairs to Bob Carpenter and Tim Foley.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Nice job on the field, by the way. The theme for today's game, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. We've got some highlights to show you from a 10-7 first half. Carolina got some good work early from defense and from special teams. And right after a Georgia turnover, Steve Tannehill went up top on first down for Corey Bridges.
Corey Bridges, this is his first play. That was the first time he was in the game. Great concentration, score.
And a penalty for celebrating.
Yeah.
And here's the Georgia touchdown. Eric Zier to Bryce Hunter for 14 yards.
Good job of blocking on the outside, and good concentration by Hunter, takes it in.
Then the freshman, his first ever field goal for South Carolina, Reed Morton at the gun, and his 33-yarder made it 10-7 at the half. Now, let's have a look at our Rico halftime statistics. They show that the rushing yardage belongs to Georgia. Passing yardage, with Zier coming on strong, 9 of 11 at one point, is just a 2-yard difference. Total offense for the home team, and the time of possession turnovers almost identical.
Yeah, a couple big plays here, the 2 blocked field goals, and then the punt that happened to hit Charles Pledger, and South Carolina takes it in for 3.
Couple of blocked field goals by the South Carolina special teams. They have been outstanding, but a lot of football. It's hot again. It's sunny again in Athens, and we're coming back.
Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week is brought to you by Lee Apparel. With regular, relaxed, and loose-fit jeans, Lee is the brand that fits. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Shoney's Breakfast Bar, the best breakfast in town. And by Nationwide Insurance. Tonight and every night, your Nationwide agent encourages you to drive sober. Nationwide is on your side.
Welcome back to Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley, and Bob Kessling for our 93 season opener. And it's South Carolina on the road by 3 with a lot of football left to play, approaching the second half. Well, Tim Foley, anything about that first half surprise you at all? Something you weren't expecting?
No, I don't think so. I think that South Carolina defensively held Georgia in check a little bit longer than I thought they would. They played extremely well in the first half. And there was some jittery mistakes by both teams, jumping off sides, a couple of snaps muffed by the quarterback. I think you'll see much more shotgun from Georgia in the second half. That seemed to go real well for them, that scheme. Yeah, it's certainly going to be a competitive 30 minutes of football because South Carolina thinks they can win.
Greg Tremble joined by Hassan Graham, and it will be Tremble. Angles over the 25, and he will fall forward. 29, maybe the 30-yard line, and that's where Georgia will start things off. After a rather unusual first half, you see some of their statistics. You'd think if Zier was 9 of 11 and Terrell Davis had run for 72 yards in the first half, they'd have a big lead, but they've only been on the scoreboard one time.
And one of the things that South Carolina has been able to do on defense, with a few exceptions, is to eliminate the big play, and that was one of their goals coming into this game.
Each team faring well on first downs today. Georgia opens up in the eye. Bohannon, the motion man, from the near side to the far. And the give is to Terrell Davis. Not much there, and David Turnipseed comes up celebrating. We have a flag in the play, and Carolina thinks they have the ball. Frank Adams headed for the locker room, and South Carolina is headed for offense. Hank Campbell came up with it. On the first play of the second half, just 16 seconds in.
Hank Campbell, number 85 there. Eric Sullivan, 62. Looks like Turnipseed punches it with his helmet, and it slid out before he went down. Good job by Sullivan tearing it loose, and that's what happened. Turnipseed knocks it loose, and Hank Campbell comes up with a football.
First down at the 31. Tannehill to Bennett. And he's got good yardage, about 5 straight ahead.
DeBoer leading the way, and DeBoer, of course, is a 6th-round draft choice by the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a catcher for the South Carolina Gamecocks during the spring.
He's something else. He's a catcher with speed. And that's a little rare combination sometimes. Leading the way for Bennett. They've been doing it back there together for quite a while. Brandon has it again. DeBoer leads the way off the right side. First down. He's loose, and he's down inside the 5. Fumbles into the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown, Carolina. Coming up with it, Toby Cates.
Watch it on the right side. 87, Boomer Foster gets a great block. DeBoer leads him around the outside, walls off Godfrey. Buster Owens looked like he was down. A ball came out. Now Gates hustling to get over there to help, and it's a touchdown. Good job by Foster. DeBoer leads around the outside. Bennett finally gets there, whacked by Pledger, and they couldn't get the handle on the ball, and Cates comes up with it for a score.
Less than a minute into the second half, Reed Morton is on for the point after. A 26-yard run by Bennett, and then Toby Cates finished it off. Now they get the extra point from Morton, who's 2 for 2 today, with the field goal. And there is some surprise around Athens right now. It's 17-7 South Carolina. Hassan Graham has caught a kickoff into the end zone, but they're going to re-kick it. They jumped the gun a little bit.
Biting into commercial time.
Well, it's opening day. They're very eager. Officially, a 26-yard run by Bennett, and then the fumble recovery in the end zone by Toby Cates. And Steve Tannehill's Gamecocks lead at 17-7, 58 seconds into the third quarter. Georgia twice today has fumbled on first down, and in quick fashion shortly thereafter, South Carolina has scored 14 of its 17 points. Travis Harrison will kick it off. At the goal line, Hassan Graham angling far sideline. Took a hit around the 23, and he gets up over the 30 and out of bounds around the 31-yard line. A most unusual touchdown. We'll have another look.
Great job here by Dinkins and Harrison. 69 is Harrison. Great job by Boomer Foster on the outside. DeBoer sealing downfield. Corey Bridges, the guy that caught the touchdown, throwing a block. Charles Pledger comes back and whacks him.
And then Pledger's foot kicks the ball into the end zone. Toby Cates says, thank you. First down, 31. Zion. Nothing on the left side. Then he dumps it out for Frank Harvey. And immediately he is stopped by Reggie Richardson from left corner. Richardson, a sophomore out of Florence, South Carolina. Only played 4 games last year. Mostly a special teams guy, but stepping up to back up Ron Neely on that left corner.
And you can bet that Miles Aldridge, the defensive coordinator at South Carolina, and Dave Bibby, the defensive backfield coach, have talked about that flanker screen. They know they're going to see some more of that.
No yardage gain, 2nd and 10. Zaire to Harvey. He slipped, and then Turnipseed fell on top of it. Don't celebrate too much, David.
Now you see teammates trying to get there to cut it out now. Be cool. Trying to go with the draw. Nothing there. Harvey tried to cut back, and that's a pretty radical cut for a big guy like Frank Harvey anyway. Loses his footing.
Another mention, if you saw our halftime with the soggy Bob Kessling, the field is quite wet. It rained very hard for just a few minutes at halftime. Zaire under pressure. Nothing there. Good coverage. Terrell Davis was being followed by the inside linebacker, Hank Campbell. There is a flag on the play near the line of scrimmage. It signals holding against Georgia on 3rd and 11. And that obviously will be declined. All the momentum for the Gamecocks right now.
Good job by Turnipseed spinning through there. Jamal Pettifor putting some pressure on from the right side, and then fine coverage by Hank Campbell. Zaire, no place to go with the football.
Toby Cates will be back to receive the kick. Remember, Frank Adams left the field a few minutes ago. Scott Armstrong's kick, a low spiral, returnable, but not for long. Good coverage in the middle. Drew David for Georgia on the initial hit. 17-7 Carolina, 2.5 minutes into the third quarter. We're back after a word from your local stations. Line getting a breather on a warm, muggy afternoon here in Athens. The defense has been on the field quite a bit. Two tight ends set for the Gamecocks. And the first man through is Stanley Pritchett on the Tannehill handoff. We mentioned earlier that Frank Adams, who's a versatile guy for South Carolina, returns kicks, cornerback. He's made some big plays today. Had to leave. He was overheated on this warm, muggy afternoon. At game time, it was only 74 degrees, but the humidity was 98%.
And there is no wind. Flags flapping a little bit, but there is no wind. South Carolina played 56 players in the first quarter.
2-5. Pritchett again, wrapped up nicely. Coming in to make the defensive play, Randall Godfrey, the weak side linebacker. His 5th stop of the day. He was all SEC freshman last year, defensive freshman of the year, and he made the first team freshman All-America squad.
He had 8 starts last year. In 7 of those games, he was in double figures in tackles. Just a tremendous athlete with a great work ethic. Lowndes County down there in Valdosta.
He was a basketball and track star there. Athlete indeed. 3rd down and 5. Tannehill and 3 guys to the right. He's looking that way. Nobody open. That's a sack. Same man got him. It was Godfrey, his 6th stop of the day. Ball came loose. Officials appear to be signaling it was down. You have to call that a coverage sack. Tannehill had nobody to throw it to.
Right ball fall, illegal position, offense, not enough men on the line of scrimmage, penalty decline.
Not enough Gamecocks on the line of scrimmage. The Bulldogs will obviously opt for the ball. The kick will come from inside the 25-yard line, so they'll come out of this with pretty good field position.
Now Sparky got to feel good about the way his team's playing, and Ray Goff is hoping that somebody's going to come up with a big play now.
Marty Simpson's longest kick of the first half, 42 yards, 4 kicks averaging 36. Chris McCraney is the deep man. Oh, this is a beauty. High spiral, way back to the 17, fumbled and picked up, and then great coverage. It looked like Jerry German. Check it for South Carolina with 17. Chris Alford, the wide receiver. Great kick, 50 yards, -2 on the return.
Now somebody else that's pulling for the Bulldogs is Tom Chandler, and Ray Goff wanted to make sure I said hello to him. Tom's in Emory Hospital, and we all wish you the best, my friend.
Here we go. Only time Georgia's been affected today has been in the shotgun. Nobody behind Zaire. He rolls. He's being pursued, and the foot of Bryce Hunter slips out of bounds. He made the catch first, and then his left foot made the slip to the sideline. The official right there to make the call.
When the game started, the field was in good shape. It had rained hard during the night, but in the early morning it had stopped and it had just been a drizzle. But it rained. There was significant rain at halftime. It looks as though, as you see Bryce Hunter having trouble getting his cleats into the ground, that it's loose out there.
4 wide receivers in there for Georgia. It's Bryce Hunter again. Tannehill takes the phone call, talking about the next possession, leading by 10, third quarter. But really, you have to credit the South Carolina defense and special teams as much as the offense today for what's happened here. 3rd and 3. Hunter again on that little look in. He's close to first down yardage, but it appears he's a half a yard to a yard short.
And you see the linemen getting off on that, too. They're starting to release and retreat back into the middle of the field. They can help if Hunter gets driven farther inside. Good defense by South Carolina.
Excellent. What an effort today by Miles Aldridge and his crew. He coaches the inside linebackers and coordinates the defense for Sparky Woods. There's Scott Armstrong, who averaged 43 yards a kick in the first half. A 37-yarder a few minutes ago, and a wobbly one down to Toby Cates at the 37. Tough to make any cuts on that wet turf, but he does find some room. Pretty good return, got about 9 yards straight ahead. Whit Marshall on special teams, a 41-yard kick. Action from the ACC today. Virginia has lengthened that lead by 8 over Maryland. And for the latest scores of just the games you'd like to hear about, call the Jefferson Pilot scoreline 1-900-267-5757. Calls are $1 a minute. And for you youngsters out there, please get your parents' permission before making that call. 46-yard line for the Gamecocks. 9:24 to go, third quarter. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley, Bob Kessling, our season opener from Athens. Tannehill tried to force it. Rob DeBoer had it bump off his arms, but he was double covered.
Good job by Charlie Clemens. He picked the fullback. They tried to slip Rob DeBoer through that line of scrimmage and run him on the weak side. And Tremble was with Harris downfield, and Clemens running right with DeBoer. Good pass defense.
Steve Tannehill, 5 for 13, 91 yards, 2 picked off, but 1 41-yard touchdown pass. On 2nd and 10, Bennett from deep back there did a good job to get away from Pledger, and then Charlie Clemens was the man who managed to trip him up.
Yeah, Clemens tripped him up at the line of scrimmage, and he managed to pick up 4 or 5 more yards after that. Good effort here by Bennett. And, of course, I think that's his forte, is his effort. You got some backup linemen in there for South Carolina, too. They're giving their front line guys a blow. Antoine Jackson ran into your screen.
Cates and Bridges, the wide men. Tannehill on 3rd down and 4. Dumps it ahead. Bennett would not have made it anyway. He had Randall Godfrey all over it. Good effort by the Georgia defense.
That was some of the best field position that South Carolina has had. They chose to substitute on the offensive line. You have to get some of these big guys a little rest on a day like this. Good pressure, good coverage. Richard Bell can be proud of his defense in that series.
Marty Simpson will kick it to Chris McCraney or into the end zone. He hangs it up nicely. He's got some people downfield. The ball will stop inside the 5. And the Gamecocks keep getting it done on special teams. A 46-yard kick downed at the 1. They have been outstanding on special teams today, and the Bulldogs are in it deep when they come back.
Trouble getting into your jeans? Try Relax Fit Jeans from Lee.
Can get 1 yard line or less, and they've got all the Carolina fans right behind it in the west end zone. Breaking out of there, Terrell Davis. Looking about 6 yards. Big play on 1st down for the Bulldogs. Davis in the first half had 72 yards on the ground.
And one of the big things here is Ray talked about leadership. He was a little bit concerned about that. And the best way to lead in a situation like this is through performance. You got to come up with a big play. They need a big run. They need a big catch.
2nd down and 3. Same man, penalty flag as Davis crashes out to the 11. Hope you're enjoying our Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week. Bulldog fans not enjoying it a whole lot right now. It'll be a penalty against their offense It's 17-7, South Carolina, 7:43, third quarter.
Holding, offense, half the distance, spotted a fall, still second down.
Watch for Paul Taylor, the right tackle, 52. David Turnipseed, the man he had wrapped up.
Turnipseed really performing well as Ray looks on. Obviously worried at this point.
2nd and 7 at the 4. Here's Davis over the 5, maybe the 6. Pushed out of bounds by Ron Neely, the left corner.
Well, one of the nice things about having Zier at quarterback, Bob, is that I don't think Wayne McDuffie is afraid to take a chance. You know, he counts on this young man's ability to decide whether he's got it or he doesn't have it. If a quarterback is more inexperienced, then you're not sure. He may take too much of a chance with the ball in this position of the field. But they have to start stretching some people out a little bit. As you mentioned, he's completed a lot of his passes, but he hasn't thrown many downfield. They've been a lot of those quick things and screens.
And the Bulldogs are only 1 for 7 on third down today. Last year they were excellent, 40%.
Frank Adams is not back in the game, and that certainly does make a difference. He is their best defensive back. They've got a quality secondary, but he's a guy that they can line up on anybody and say, you got him.
Evidently, there's a clock problem. Yeah, it's the 25-second clock. It was all the way back to 0. Now they reset it, and it's running down. Zier from the shotgun on 3rd and 5. Doubles ahead. Davis slips, but he's got the first down. And that was within an eyelash, that little shovel pass of being picked off right back around the goal line.
Who was that?
Maynard Caldwell appeared to be the man who was right
Watch
in there.
This. He's blitzing inside, and he's a freshman out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. What was that? He probably hadn't seen that play before he got here.
He thought he had it measured, and it ended up about 10 yards behind him. First down at the 15. Dogs with a little breathing room now. Zier on the draw for Harvey. Turnipseed tripped him, but he kept his feet. Good job. Finally wrapped up by Reggie Richardson, Hank Campbell, and others. But Frank Harvey almost was stopped for little or no gain.
John Gudikins is the outside linebacker coach at South Carolina, former head coach at Minnesota, and of course had a great career at Duke and been around the country. And I think it's been very helpful for Sparky to bring a guy with that kind of knowledge of the game in, and he's worked together with Miles Aldrich and the other defensive coaches. And the more opinions you can get, the more points of view you can get, the better off you're going to be.
2nd and 5. Zier escapes the sack. He'll have to run it, and he slides near the marker at the 25-yard line. Good heads-up play by the man who's never rushed, always in control.
Eric Zier, Mr. Poise, not there, not there. Bernard Williams pushes Turnipseed past him, and he takes it upfield. Now, good decision. You don't want to meet Eric Brown nose to nose.
He appears to be rewriting most of the Georgia records. Zeke Bretkowski will become the #2 man by the end of next season, probably.
And it's amazing that Zeke is still able to hold on to those records, considering that was in the, late 50s that was happening?
Yeah, but they've been running the ball ever since.
Uh-huh. That's true, that's true.
They've had a few here.
There's one of them. Now, Ray didn't really wing it around much, you know. He led Georgia to an SEC title, but...
SEC Player of the Year in '76 when he was the starting quarterback.
Right. He ran the ball, ran the option, and sometimes he was the pulling guard. You know, he's a big guy. Great leadership ability.
3 wide receivers on first down for the Bulldogs. In protection, Zier put it behind Frank Harvey. And again, there's very little adjusting that can take place with the wet condition of the field. In fact, here in the third quarter, you might notice in between the 30-yard line and down to the 10, that's where they've spent most of the third quarter. That portion of the turf is starting to get pretty chewed up. The rest of the field looks okay.
If they have to go to more of a passing offense, you may see someone else in there at fullback. Someone that's a little bit more adept receiver.
Zier doesn't want to backpedal too much, so he stays in that shotgun. Up the middle. It is complete. Bryce Hunter breaking loose over midfield. The sophomore from Valdosta having a day bigger than his entire season was in '92.
Well, this is the man they're going to count on to get the Georgia fans to forget Andre Hastings. Number 88, Bryce Hunter. As you said, Bob, 3 receptions last year as a true freshman. But you can see him coming into his own. Very confident man out there. Knows where to find the hole.
5 catches of his own for 46 yards today. Inside draw, Davis, about 3 off the left side. Right end, Stacey Evans is the man who took him down. Evans spells Jamal Pettiford on the right side. Starting our season here in Athens, we're headed for Music City, USA. The Commodores of Jerry DiNardo awaiting David Palmer and the defending national champion Crimson Tide of Alabama. 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central on your local SEC stations next Saturday.
Georgia has Earl Fouch in there at fullback now.
Second down and 7. Zier has Hunter again. Down to the 25-yard line. He ran a crossing pattern, and Tony Watkins had to get him from behind.
South Carolina's playing more of a zone on defense, Bob, because of the problem that they had with that quick screen. It went for a touchdown up the middle. So Zier able to get it to Hunter before Hank Campbell could get back there and help out Tony Watkins.
He's averaging almost a dozen yards per catch. First down at the Carolina 25. 17-7 Gamecocks. Under 4 minutes to go, third quarter. Zier flushed out. Rather than make a mistake or try to force it, he took the tackle from David Turnipseed.
Looked to me like that was a shovel coming on. South Carolina had it defended. See a good decision from Zier. It's not there, so he takes it and runs. Tries to make something good out of something that did not show much potential. David Turnipseed, who's having a fantastic game, brought him down.
Second and 14. Zier 16 of 20 for 148 yards and a touchdown. After the fake, he'll go left side and keep it. He'll get it outside. Oh! Face mask, obviously. Ernest Dixon reached out, got Zier's face mask, and clotheslined him right down to the turf.
This time they faked the draw the inside. Zier sees some open room. Davis trying to help out. Whoa, you know, that's a long distance face mask right there. That's 15 yards, I'm assuming.
All the way down inside the 12-yard line. No question. Georgia has not scored since 9:14 to go in the second quarter. During the final 3 minutes of quarter number 3, they trail by 10.
And the guy that's stepping up to the plate, of course, is Eric Zier.
And he steps back now between the split backs. Right side, Harvey had to struggle to make the catch. He was a little bit off balance. It wasn't Harvey, it was Earl Fouch spelling Harvey on the right side.
That was a tough one. That's a pretty flat angle. You get your body or get your shoulders around to make that catch, and then make anything out of it is awfully difficult.
Well, Earl Fouch should be able to do just about anything out there. 3 years ago, he was a free safety. 2 years ago, a receiver. Played 8 games, had an interception last year in the secondary. Came off some spring injuries, and here he is. Second down and 11.
Frank Adams is back in the game, Bob, at the right corner.
Couch in front of Davis. Fake to him. And right there to meet the quarterback is Maynard Caldwell, a true freshman out of Northwestern High School in Rock Hill, South Carolina. He was an all-stater for Jimmy Wallace, his coach there last year.
And I don't know, maybe Maynard is supposed to pick up Earl Fouch. You see Earl Fouch in the flat on that picture? Earl Fouch wide open in the flat here. Maynard Caldwell makes the play. Good job. True freshman.
Third down at 22. 4 wide receivers for the Bulldogs, and Zier wants to spend a timeout. They're down by 10, minute 25 away from the fourth quarter, and Eric Zier considers this situation serious enough not to risk a mistake. He wants to talk to Ray Goff about it. Well, we'd like to invite you to spend New Year's Eve at the Outback Steakhouse Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Send a postcard with your name, address, and telephone number to the address on the screen and register to win a trip for 2, including game tickets, hotel, and airfare. The winner to be announced during the SEC Game of the Week on November 27th. It must be 21 years of age or older to enter. SEC team headed for that Gator Bowl. Of course, the champion goes to the Sugar Bowl, where Alabama won the national championship last year. You know, Tim, a lot of people have talked about it. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Last year, nobody thought that anybody could get through the SEC, then the championship game, then a national championship bowl game, but Alabama got it done, and that really quieted a lot of critics of the present system.
Yeah, and it was exciting. People had fun, and Alabama really played exceptional football, beyond, I think, even their coaches' expectations. They were consistent every week. And Sparky Woods, concerned about his defense here, but we got a guy with us that's really committed, Bob. Josh Marks, who's been running cameras for us. Well, we've been running cameras in the air for 31 years. It's his 38th anniversary today, so Janine, forgive him for being with us. He'll be home soon.
We'll get him home. Third down and 21. Zier almost sacked. Then he gets rid of it. Ball in the air, out of bounds. Eric Brown with big pressure. Ernest Dixon was there with Brown. And Eric Zier did well to avoid the sack, which could have taken them to the fringe of field goal range.
See Bernard Williams there doing a job on the right side. Dixon, that's Eric Brown finally breaking through. They're trying to get Bryce Hunter down the middle, but immediate pressure from the right side.
Cannon Parkman with a 40-yarder coming up. Armstrong the holder. Drew David the snapper, and he's missed it off to the left. Again, Parkman has not place kicked in 2 years. A red shirt because of sickness last season, and he wasn't very close to knocking that one through. It stays 17-7.
Well, this is the first one they've gotten off. You know, and besides the first one of the day that was called back, and that's just a little wide right.
And that one was almost tipped. As Carolina takes over, let's get an update downstairs. Bob Kessler.
You know, guys, you've been talking about the field conditions, how the footing is so good. Actually, back in the 20s when they built this stadium, it was built on a creek. There was this natural creek bed, so they built the stands on the slope, and then they filled them with concrete and rocks. So the drainage is so good here because it goes right into the creek that runs underneath the stadium. In fact, they say it is big enough, the drainage underneath the stadium, they could actually drive a bulldozer under here. So it's pretty good natural drainage here, guys, and that's why the field. And also tip your hat to the Florida grounds crew. It rained this morning, rained this afternoon, as you saw at halftime, but this field is in great position.
Certainly looks like Bob Kessling has drained well since halftime.
Illegal position. Offense. 6 men on line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
First and 15 coming up for the Gamecocks. 1:05 to go in the third quarter of our Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week. Gamecocks lead the Bulldogs here in Athens 17-7. Steve Tannehill, since starting, trying to win his 6th of 7. The only loss down the stretch last year was at Florida Field against the Gators. Brandon Bennett getting outside, turning it upfield, and he was met by Corey Johnson, a redshirt freshman, who spells Ralph Thompson at free safety for Georgia.
Another good job by number 68, James Dexter, who was a defensive lineman last year. For most of the year, they converted him to the offensive line because they had lost Rivens and Farrell and, of course, Ernest Dye. But there's the man right there, James Dexter, from defense to offense, and he is doing a fine job of pulling out and making that space for Bennett.
He can do it, 6'6", 285. A little space up the middle there to about the 30. Brandon Bennett on the carry. Well, those are the only 3 starters that South Carolina lost on offense that Tim Foley mentioned. The others have played very well today. And here we go to the 4th quarter. South Carolina leads it by 10 in Georgia. Of SEC football, our Lee Apparel SEC game of the week. Let's have a look at the Lee Apparel game summary after 3 quarters. Georgia still has the edge in all of the yardage categories. Eric Zayers having a big day through the air, but as Tim Foley mentioned earlier, a lot of it, little inside patterns, little flares, nothing in terms of getting downfield at all.
Well, that last series, they started stretching them out a little bit, started throwing it downfield.
3rd down and 3. Brandon Bennett has the first down, it appears. He had to get out around that 33-yard line, and it looked like he was bumped out just beyond. Corey Johnson from free safety on the stop. And Brandon Bennett's over 100 yards after running for 44 against Georgia last year.
From a defensive standpoint, you had the right thing on. It looked like they were coming with a strong safety blitz on the outside, but Bennett was able to escape to the outside anyhow, and so you can give credit to DeBoer for that. Another good block by the catcher.
2 tight ends for the Gamecocks. Tannehill with play action. Whoa, what a play in the backfield. Mitch Davis. A career 154 tackle, 14.5 sack man coming in. That's sack total, by the way, coming into the game. Number 6 all time on the Georgia defensive chart.
You see him coming upfield, and you've got Matthew Campbell trying to keep him out of there at tight end, and that ain't going to work.
He's added a couple to that total today. 2nd and 16. Here they come, and it's dumped up the middle. Mike Reddick has it. And South Carolina moves it out to the 39-yard line. Mitch Davis again on the stop, putting in full-time action at right outside backer on this hot afternoon.
And Mitch is a guy that they've got to be counting on to do some big things. Good pursuit here. Watch this. Watch it. Stay with it. Great job. Way to get back into it. And he chases down the little running back. And great effort by Mitch Davis.
3rd down and 6. Clock runs with 13:35 to go. Tannehill's over 100 yards. Plenty of time. Up top, left sideline, way too tall for Mike Reddick, and good coverage by the Bulldogs down there. Buster Owens was back, as well as Randall Godfrey from the weak side linebacker spot.
They tried to get Mike Reddick on Randall Godfrey, man-to-man up the sidelines. Buster Owens was there to help out. Steve Tannehill, you see him talking to Mitch Davis? That's okay. Good game, Mitch. You're doing good.
Yeah, don't get him mad.
Right.
Humor him. Marty Simpson with a kick. Chris McCraney, the return man for Georgia, standing on his own 25.
Big play. Here comes the touchdown.
They got it off with 5 seconds left on the 25-second clock. He hangs up a beauty. Back to the 20. McCraney has a little room in the sidelines, and that's about it. Outstanding kick by Marty Simpson, and the South Carolina special teams continue to be a big story here. A 42-yarder with only a 6-yard return.
And they're hammering those punts and getting good coverage. But Tannehill's doing the job, Bob. You know, I mean, given a choice, I'd choose a different barber, you know, and I think and I think most head coaches would, but it's in terms of if you can forget the hair, which is hard for me to do being an old guy.
Not to mention the earring. Zaire. Oh, he's got a man. And that is Hassan Graham. He is inside the 10, but there appears to be official signaling he stepped out of bounds at the 38-yard line. That is the first effective deep throw, if you will, by Eric Zaire today.
But he found the seam here between the cornerback that was up, Reggie Richardson, and he knifed it in there before Norman Green could get over there and help.
Graham had to come back for the ball, Tim, just a fraction. Had he not, he might have been gone.
And he has got speed. If he hadn't tried to regain his balance, he'd have been gone too. But there's someone being helped off the field. And our adept spotter, Kim Anderson, is hard at work trying to pick out a number for us.
It is number 6, Norman Green, the free safety. First down at the 38. That was a 35-yard pass by Zaire. He's up to 188 on the day. And he's got another one. And guess who? Bryce Hunter. What a day. His 7th catch, 80 yards on the day.
Pretty soon here, South Carolina is going to have to lock up a little bit. Because they have found the soft spot there. They're throwing it right over the linebacker's head. And this may be a time where you give Frank Adams, Hassan Graham to cover, and then let the other guys work on the rest of the team.
Let's update that. 7 catches, 89 yards. Ooh, hello. Says big number 62, Eric Sullivan, the sophomore nose guard. He was recruited out of Lawrence, South Carolina as a linebacker, but hits like this make him the nose guard.
He is a big guy. He's a lot like Philip Daniels of Georgia. You know, they came in here and they came into their prospective schools and gained a lot of weight, did a lot of work on the weights, and I mean, it's good weight, it's healthy weight, and they move well with it.
Second down and 10. Zaire with play action, almost slipped. Now he's flushed out. Has to run. Tucks it under his left arm. He might score! Zaire with a 21-yard touchdown run.
Well, he had Bryce Hunter down the middle. He got flushed out. Great block there. It looked like Frank Harvey, number 7. And he gets it into the end zone.
That extra point almost missed, but Cannon Parkman got it right inside the left upright, and it's a 3-point game. Opening day in the SEC, you couldn't ask for a closer one. Carolina by a field goal. It's gone 22 yards now, they say, for the touchdown that makes it 17-14.
When he set up to throw it to Hunter, he slipped, skidded, then he started to move out to the left side, and he saw he had some clear sailing. Good block by Frank Harvey.
Corey Bridges drops it at the goal line. Now he's got it up the middle. Got some room, but a good play by a man who was already on the turf, Will Muschamp. A backup safety was blocked down and still made the tackle. Now, the pressure shifts to the South Carolina offense to keep the ball for a while. Lots of time to go. 11 minutes and 44 seconds, fourth quarter.
I think that was Muschamp. Might have been his 4th tackle on special teams. He's been very good.
Quarterback comparison, Zaire 103 yards more than Tannehill, 13 completions more in 8 more attempts. Brandon Bennett running hard on first down.
Richard Bell choosing to substitute on defense in this situation. He's got Chad Wilson in there at one corner, McCraney in at the other corner. Corey Johnson playing safety. Now Tremble comes in. But you got to give your players a break on a day like this. It's just like Frank Adams for South Carolina's having cramping problems. You just lose so much fluid.
Second down. Bennett again. Some tough yards up the middle. That'll put them in a position for a 3rd and short. Maybe around 3 yards to go. Brandon Bennett, the workhorse, takes it up the middle.
3rd down. Richard Bell getting his first line secondary in the game now.
Cavaliers and Terps really hooking up for a wild one in College Park today in the ACC. Big play in the ball game. 3rd down and 2. Campbell and Foster, tight ends in there for South Carolina. Bennett, no, he won't make it. Greg Tremble came up to force it from right corner, and then all of his buddies showed up. There's the man who made the first hit.
Good job by Tremble. Godfrey, Randall Godfrey up there and just totally disrupts the timing of the play. Good upfield. They're bringing them from both sides. Richard Bell decides the pressure, and this certainly worked out as then Tremble reacts and makes the first hit on Bennett.
Bulldogs will get it back as Marty Simpson prepares to kick it away. Georgia will have good field position here. McCraney outside his 40, looking near side. Dives ahead, 45-yard line is where he bounced the first time. Georgia down by just 3. Great field position, 9:34 to go. Half to go, Georgia has the football, and Frank Adams is back for South Carolina at a very crucial point defensively in the ball game for the Gamecocks. Nothing there for Terrell Davis. Stacked up well. Stacy Evans, the junior who backs up Jamal Pettiford at right defensive end. Former junior college All-American in Greenville.
That time Miles Aldridge deciding to blitz, deciding to try to put some pressure on it, just trying to disrupt the pattern of Eric Zier.
And they got the 3-yard loss. Stacking things up with skilled people. 5 of them out on this pattern. He goes long left side, just off the fingertips of Jerry German.
Pass incomplete, intended for number 17, Jerry German.
German, a junior, split in out of Richmond, Virginia, and just a fraction away from a big play.
Adams having trouble with cramps. He missed some playing time already this afternoon, and German just ran right by him. Eric Zier couldn't have done a better job putting it on the money.
3rd down and 13. 8:47 to go. 17-14, South Carolina. 5 backs in there again. Zier, long right sideline, and it is caught. Excellent catch by Jeff Thomas, right over the top of Reggie Richardson.
Well, everybody that I've talked to at Georgia, from the strength coach, Joe Tarashinsky, John Casey, to every position coach, said the hardest working group they have is the group at wide receiver. You know, they have just got great leadership in that group, and they work to get better every day. They worked all summer long. And this one, again, is right on the money, and a great catch by Thomas. Good concentration.
First down at the 22. Zier taking control of the football game. Giving it for Ryan Davis. And Terrell inside the 20. Mixing things up a little bit. The run straight ahead to tighten up that defense right after the long passing play. Clock runs under 8:20 to go. Georgia, number 13 preseason by the Associated Press and USA Today. South Carolina looking for the upset that might get them in the top 25. 240 for Eric Zeier today with a score. Second down, 7. Big hole, left side, Davis, inside the 10. And skating down there all the way with him was Paul Taylor. Campbell and Evans on the stop, but a huge hole for the Scat Pack.
Tony Watkins came up to make this tackle, and last year he was this team's leading tackler and had broken a thumb a couple of weeks ago playing with that broken thumb. You can see that he's not able to hang on. Finally, Campbell gets there, along with Stacey Evans.
First and goal at the 8. Davis, Zeier, and the Bulldogs with a chance to take the lead for the first time. Davis, the motion man. Harvey, inside give, touchdown! Frank Harvey, the senior out of Dawson, Georgia. With Davis leaving the backfield early, the senior got the call.
You run motion out of there to try to get the attention of those middle linebackers so they won't be coming up over the top. And kick is good. Touchdown, Georgia.
Cannon Parkman puts it through. Ray Goff's team coming from 10 down to lead by 4. To take the lead in this time, Eric Zeier called on his fullback, Frank Harvey.
And look at Bernard Williams down there leading the way. Little swap block there with Roberts. Williams comes around. I'd follow Bernard Williams anywhere. 6'9", 300 pounds.
An exciting SEC football opener today is brought to you in part by Winn-Dixie, the low price leader. Georgia, forecast to be one of the leaders in the SEC East this year, shared the title with Florida last year, and we have seen a different Bulldog team here in the fourth quarter. Frank Adams and Brandon Bennett back to receive the kick of Cannon Parkman. 7:28 to go. A line driver to the near side, and it will go out of bounds.
It has been a different team, and I think the idea here, Wayne McDuffie, the man that's at the controls of this offense, knows that Zeier can throw the football, knows he's got some good receivers, and I think he wanted to spend some time trying to generate a little running game. And they had some success at that, but as South Carolina spurted ahead, you know, they needed to get back in there, cover some ground in a hurry offense.
Receivers, you like to take the
So
ball
a penalty
45.
on the kicking team. They don't retake the kick, and they will get the ball at the 35-yard line. Eric Zeier on a hot day wants to stay that way. He's warming up. He can't wait to get that ball in his hands again. But it's Steve Tannehill's turn now. Pressure situation on the road. 7.5 to go. Down by 4. Plenty of time, but nobody open. And he dumps it ahead, and a tough catch in traffic by Rob DeBoer.
Well, if a guy's going to make a rough catch, that's the guy to choose. You know, he stays out during the winter at home, you know, at Omaha, Nebraska. You know, he'd be one of those guys that'd be playing with his shirt sleeves and it'd be 5 below. You know, that's the kind of guy Rob is. Tough competitor.
Gain of 7. Tannehill, only 5 passes in about 24 minutes since halftime. Harris motioning. The pitch. Bennett, forget it. First man in the backfield, Buster Owens. Second man, Randall Godfrey, and he gets his 8th stop of the day.
Great call by Richard Bell, coming again with the safety blitz. You know, and Buster Owens should make this play.
And this is a secondary that graduated 3 good players. Corners, Chris Wilson and Al Jackson, and safety Mike Jones. And he's got some of the young guys like Owens, the sophomore, coming hard.
You bet.
3rd down and 8. Big play for Carolina. Tannehill, right side, man open. Nicely caught. Mike Reddick out there in the right flat. And he had a Bulldog, Corey Johnson, right with him. Chris McCraney getting there to help.
That's a tough throw to make. Tannehill stands in there. Good protection. Nice job. He's got time to let this pattern develop, and it does take some time. Puts it right on the money for Mike Reddick.
One of the better young receiving backs in the SEC. Proved that last year as a freshman when he caught 16 passes. 4 big ones today. First down at the Georgia 41.
South Carolina's not going away. They're hanging in there.
And the first carry for Joe Troop. And a troop of Bulldogs met him. He's a redshirt freshman out of Chamberlain High School in Tampa, where he played for Billy Turner. 2 years ago in high school, he ran for 1,000 yards and scored 16 times. You get the feeling 34's in there to give 33 a little breather on this warm, muggy afternoon. A gain of 2.
I think that's the first time that Bennett has been spelled, really.
He's back in there, right behind Rob DeBoer. Tannehill changing things at the line of scrimmage. Quick pass, right side, unable to handle it, Terrell Harris.
Good job by Tannehill seeing something. He checks off, and the blitz is coming. You know, they're coming after him. See, Buster Owens comes from the outside, gives him a shot as he lets the ball go. Harris can't hang on. 3rd and 8.
Terrell Harris, no catches today, and that's the position normally manned by the junior Asim Penny, who's out after off-season knee surgery. 3rd down and 8, so Tannehill without one of his big weapons. He rolls left. He is down. Godfrey got him, then Buster Owens. A 2-man wrecking crew for the Bulldogs. And the 5th time today, Tannehill's been sacked. 4.5 minutes to go. The Bulldogs have taken control.
Great effort, everybody coming. It's a more aggressive Georgia defense this year from a strategic standpoint. They feel like they have better cover people.
And a very important punt from Marty Simpson. He can pin Georgia back deep in its own offensive end. Chris McCraney standing at the 10. He wants to hang one up here. He does. It's wobbly, and it's fair caught at the 11. Well, the announcers for this game, selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. This broadcast, a copyright presentation. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the SEC and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. From the upper deck, downstairs between the hedges, Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. Bob Carpenter with Tim Foley and Bob Kessling. A thriller of an opener on our Lee Apparel SEC Game of the Week. And the Bulldogs have it deep in their own territory. 4-point lead, 3:54 to go.
Adams back in the game. Watkins back in the game. Norman Green back in the game for South Carolina.
Sire to Davis. And he was met quickly by Maynard Caldwell, the true freshman out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, having some debut today.
He was the area defensive player of the year last year in high school, and there's no secret why that was. Got rid of the blocker very quickly and made the tackle.
Caldwell's a disruptor. He was a guy who forced a lot of fumbles, recovered a few, and picked off a few, while making 92 tackles at Northwestern High School last year. Timeout, South Carolina. So each team with 2 to go, 3:47 to go. And in the ACC, a little non-conference action for Clemson, but they're getting a tussle from the Rebels of a UNLV right now, 3rd quarter in Death Valley. They may be headed for an ACC tie with the Cavaliers and the Terrapins today. And for the latest scores of just the games you want, like that blowout by Ohio State, call the Jefferson Pilot scoreline at 1-900-267-5757. Calls are $1 a minute.
Some people might question South Carolina's decision to punt with just over 4 minutes to go. Sparky Woods, excuse me. Sparky Woods obviously has a lot of confidence in his defense. So if he could pin him down there, give his offense an opportunity from midfield, that was a better option.
Well, they've done the job of the first 2 plays, Tim Foley. After a yard loss, Ray Goff's team with Terrell Davis going off the right side and stopped by Hank Campbell, maybe getting a yard of it back. And they will be faced with 3rd and long, and Carolina will stop it again, this time with 3:38. So you've been waiting to see the national champions, have you? Alabama travels to Nashville to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Paul Palmer, Jay Barker and company in that outstanding defense.
I think it's David Palmer.
David Palmer. Paul Palmer was a pretty good backup at Temple a few years ago.
Did all right. He did all right.
12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. Next Saturday we'll be in Nashville. Hope to see a lot of you there and on our Jefferson Pilot Sports Network. And let's get a look at Bob Kessling downstairs.
Bob, you know, one of the famous parts of college football, the hedges here at Sanford Stadium. In 1996, there is a chance that they might play some Olympic soccer games here. If they do that, they'll have to take the fence and the hedges out. Well, Georgia fans didn't like that. What they've done, they're going to replace them anyway. They've taken clippings from these hedges, the original hedges that have been here since 1920. They've sent them to Thomasville, Georgia, and they are growing new hedges. So they'll be like the granddaughters and grandsons of the original hedges, and they'll be back at Sanford Stadium in 1996.
A hedge against the Olympics, if you will. Thank you, Bob. Big play here. 3rd down and 10. Zaire with time. Left side Harvey, but he will not get close. He was met by a whole bunch of Gamecocks. Ron Neely leading the way from left corner. Eric Brown came up from inside backer, and Sparky Woods gets what he wants. The ball.
And this is exactly how you want to play it. Get depth, make him throw it in front of you. Now react to the football. And here comes little Ron Neely up there. Whack, whack. He gets a lot of help. There's Maynard helping out again. Eric Brown.
Gamecocks will come away with good position unless Scott Armstrong really booms one. He hangs it up. Toby Cates at his own 42. Kind of a risky play. Tripped up by Drew David, and good position after a 43-yard kick and a 2-yard return. So you might say the stage is set. Will Steve Tannehill seize the moment? Virginia has scored late at Maryland, leading by a touchdown. 2:52 to go, and Carolina down by 4. They've got to get it into the end zone.
Now it's 4 downs the rest of the way. No more punts, boys. Now we got 4.
Only 1 timeout remaining for the Gamecocks after they stopped it twice on defense. Tannehill dumps it. Mike Reddick, traffic, cuts it up, and he has maybe 3 tough yards.
Now that was really interesting to watch because Randall Godfrey was man-to-man on Mike Reddick. That was South Carolina's version of that dip screen pass. Look him come across. Now he comes back inside. Now Godfrey, Lucci's got him knocked around, and now Godfrey gets back in it.
Tannehill looking the way of Toby Cates, but then he has to go short. Cates wasn't open downfield. Then he tried to hit Mike Reddick short, and quickly it'll be 3rd and 7. But as Tim mentioned, it's 2-down territory now.
I think the ball that Steve Tannehill throws the best is the long ball. His timing has been uncanny this afternoon. He put it right on Bridges, a 46-yarder. Had a great throw to Reddick on a deep, deep out pattern.
Running backs catching 64 yards worth of passes from Tannehill today. 3rd down and 7 at the 48. And he's got a man for a 1st down. That's the big tight end, Matthew Campbell. All 6'5", 260 of them from just across the river in North Augusta, South Carolina. He was an alternate last year with Boomer Foster, and that's pretty much what they're doing this year.
Carlo Butler trying to go with him, as is Charlie Clements. Good job by Tannehill finding the open man. They get the 1st down. Keep it alive.
Clock stopped as they move the chains. 2:14 to go. 1st down at the 44 of Georgia. One pump and a sack. Matt Storm from left tackle. A JC All-American last year. He's out of Edmonds, Washington. First time we've really heard something big from him today.
Walla Walla Community College. This is a coverage sack here. Excellent job by the Georgia secondary. Nothing there. Tries to get out of the pocket, can't do it.
He had to travel a long way to get that sack. And there's a man open down the right side, Stanley Pritchett. He would have scored, but Corey Johnson caught up with him. Just when the Gamecocks appeared in big trouble, a 34-yard play that puts them in a position to possibly win the ball game. Inside, just inside the 15-yard line.
Nothing there. Tannehill's flushed out again by Storm. He dumps it off to Pritchett. Pretty nifty for a big guy. Eludes one tackle. Finally, Corey Johnson.
An Atlantic boy that didn't stay home. And just about an hour up the road, a big play for the visitors. 1st and 10 after 15.
You got to know where Reddick is in this situation.
Tannehill. Somebody's got his jersey. And he managed to throw it away. No flags. Mitch Davis trying to pull that Lee apparel right off of Steve Tannehill. He had his jersey and had him spinning around a bit.
Another good job of coverage. Mitch Davis just right in his face right away. He lets it fly. The folks here in Athens thinks that should be intentional grounding, and there didn't appear to be a Gamecock in the area.
Pretty good play while you're being undressed. 2nd down and 10. Into the end zone, but it's way too tall. Toby Cates, step for step with him. Strong safety, Buster Owens. Now it's down to 3rd down with 1:02 to go.
Tremble helping underneath. And this is the kind of pattern they ran against Clemson to get a touchdown. It would have been a perfect throw. He could have stuck it in there, but you can stick anything in there in a perfect throw.
3rd down and 10 at the 15. 1 minute, 2 seconds in the ball game. 21-17 Georgia. Time for Tannehill. Dumps it off short. And it is down inside the 5 to Boomer Foster. It'll be a 1st and goal.
Great hit by Corey Johnson at the end of that play to keep him out. I thought Foster was going in.
It's all the way down to the 2-yard line. Sparky Woods' offense marching down the field with big play after big play and in a position to take the lead in the last 53 seconds. 1st and goal after 2.
We've got goal line defense in there now.
Bennett went the wrong way. Now he's in trouble. But he gets back to the line of scrimmage just about. A busted play and a bad time for it for South Carolina. And Steve Tannehill has signaled for the timeout. The Gamecocks' last one. It comes with 42 seconds left.
This is a situation when you've got Zaire on the other end. From an offensive standpoint, you'd just as soon not score too early. Looks like everybody was going that way. Maybe Tannehill had that one wrong. A little confusion. That's not the place to have it, but that's going to happen. Time for some big play defense from Georgia. Sparky trying to keep Steve Tannehill unemotional, which is probably difficult to do. Probably have something that they'll call at the line of scrimmage. You work in short yardage and goal line during the week. There's a group of plays that you've been preparing, and based on certain personnel on your team and on their team, you're going to pick away and go that way. Tannehill's going to be his decision to decide which way they're going to go here.
Here's where his confidence in the huddle makes a big difference for this team. 2nd and goal from the 3. Carolina out of timeouts. 42 seconds to go. 3 backs in the game. A flag on the play. Stop cold. Brandon Bennett. A flag laying at the 2-yard line. Oh, brother. Offsides on Georgia. That's the second crucial time the Dogs have been offsides today.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone. Half the distance. Still second down.
That turns a loss into a gain, and it's still second down. Tim, that's the second time today when they've been backed up to their own goal line. They've been a little too eager. There was a helmet in there. It looked like it might have been the right tackle, Philip Daniels, 89. Second and goal at the 2. Bennett over the top. Short. A last-minute goal line stand. The clock is inside. 20 seconds. Georgia taking forever to get on pile. Maybe one play to remain. 3rd and 1. Bennett. Touchdown, South Carolina. With 2 seconds to go. Flags all over the place, but it's for the post-touchdown celebration. And I don't think Carolina cares about those too much. Brandon Bennett had enough energy a final time to get over the top and into the end zone.
Well, one thing that both these head coaches know is that the off-season is over. You know, they're back in the pressure cooker.
15 yards to be assessed on the kickoff for the celebration, but they don't care too much about that. Brandon Bennett, 24 carries, 108 yards, and that touchdown.
Reed Morton there, the young field goal kicker that whacked one through right at the end of the half, standing next to Starkey.
This for it appeared they just sort of fell on the ball on the conversion.
Right.
So they have 2 seconds to go. The clock, of course, didn't start, and we will have a kickoff. South Carolina will have to kick it away, and Sparky Woods is on the verge of an upset, Tim, that could put him in the top 25. His team not ranked. Georgia was number 13 preseason, and Brandon Bennett did indeed make it into the end zone.
On the last play of the football game from the line of scrimmage, Brandon Bennett gets up over the top. Charles Pledger had a hold of his feet, couldn't quite drag him back.
A couple of adjoining states, Georgia and South Carolina. Gamecocks in the SEC as of last year, and this will be one of their biggest if they hold on.
Well, last year, you know, after 0-5, Bob, the fans had turned hostile. The players were in open revolt, having meetings, you know, and Sparky Woods could definitely see the bottom of the abyss. The only noise you could hear was the sound of Carolina football plummeting into a hole. From that point, he's come back.
Georgia has called a timeout, and they've got one more to spend. Steve Tannehill engineering the apparent winning drive, and our Jefferson Pilot Sports MVP award of the game today, Brandon Bennett, 24 carries, 108 yards, and that touchdown. Eric Zier, a huge day for Georgia. Took control of the game in the 4th quarter, and it didn't appear when they scored their last touchdown with 7:28 to go that it might be too little too late. But Eric Zier, our MVP today, and as part of our Players of the Game scholarship program, Jefferson Pilot Sports will donate $2,000 to the Southeastern Conference to be distributed among its member institutions.
Georgia played well on defense today. They had a problem containing Tannehill as he scrambled out, and a couple of times he hit a back and a flat Pritchett on that drive, and then he hit the tight end who'd worked his way all the way across the field a few times, and that's what enabled them to keep those drives alive.
28-6. Georgia won in Columbia September 5th of last year. September 4th of this year, the Gamecocks are about to return the favor. And things don't get any easier for Georgia. They go to Tennessee next week, and then Ole Miss in 3 weeks after a non-conference date at home with Texas Tech. Gamecocks are at Arkansas next week. Travis Harrison will be the kickoff man. He will squib it. Ball is touched. And the Bulldogs down it, but they're out of time. And South Carolina, on the opening Saturday of the SEC season, has piled up what may be one of the big upsets of the year. The Gamecocks 23, the Georgia Bulldogs 21. Back to Athens in a moment.
Brought to you by Lee Apparel. With regular, relaxed, and loose-fit jeans, Lee is the brand that fits. By Shoney's Breakfast Bar, the best breakfast in town. By Rico, who makes a full line of copiers and facsimiles to fit all your office needs. For information on the dealer nearest you, dial 1-800-63-RICO, the name to know, Rico. And by Nationwide Insurance. Tonight and every night, your Nationwide agent encourages you to drive sober. Nationwide is on your side.
Well, all of the preseason attention came Steve Tannehill's way. He engineers a big upset on opening day, and we're back after a word from your local SEC stations. South Carolina gets the upset in Athens, Georgia today. Tim Foley, what a start to the SEC season.
Well, it was quite a contrast. You know, you've got Tannehill, who is really brash and outspoken, and then Brandon Bennett, very quiet, even underrated. Those two guys come together on offense. A solid defensive effort, and South Carolina is well on its way to recovery.
Brandon Bennett, 24 runs, 108 yards, but that last 1 yard was the biggest with 2 seconds remaining.